Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and with me tonight is a guest host, which is Istophobos. Professor R2 had some family affair to attend to, but Istophobos was kind enough to step in. So it's nice to have you on the channel again. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for letting me cover. He's going to see a concert, right?
I believe so. I believe that he had something that he was going to do with his family, that he's seeing a concert, and sometimes family stuff happens, and that is perfectly fine. Professor shows up a lot here and does a lot of streams. And we're always very thankful. And sometimes things, like family stuff, there was some kind of obligation comes up, and that's totally cool. In any case, Ista, I see that you have a new avatar. It's a very interesting avatar. Of a lady with a sword.
It's Deja Thoris from the Princess of Mars from the John Carter books.
Ah,
Because Phobos is a moon, the big moon of Mars, and my name is Phobos. I went with the sort of Mars theme, which is why the polar bear is also on Mars.
yeah. No, it's a good avatar.
I like it.
It's interesting. People are saying what sword? Yeah.
I don't think she has a particularly special named sword. At least not in the first few books. It's been a while since I've read them, but Caleb.
I like what Istophos brings to the table, especially the avatar. Yes, he certainly brings an interesting perspective. Anyhow, yes. So this is Istophobos' avatar. I feel like it may be distracting for some, but no, we're gonna talk about stuff today. Uh,
There
well,
is definitely some stuff happening.
there is some stuff happening, that's for sure. So, for starters, let's look at what we were writing here. Are Trump's tariffs working? Now, the reason I asked this, there was something today that I think he was talking about how well he's reaching a deal with China. He's like, my tariffs are so good. There's so much money. There's too much money, or something like that. Did you see that?
Yeah, yeah. They're the greatest tariffs ever. It's
I mean,
just
if
too much
nothing else,
money.
if nothing else, Trump is funny. You can't take that away from him.
No, and it really shocks me that after all this time, like the left still doesn't realize when they're being trolled.
Yes. There's so many tariffs. It's too much. I think this is it. Let me share this thing if I can find it. Do you see it?
No, I don't.
Okay, we'll do this.
There we go. Now I see it.
Here now. Now we're here. Somebody wrote that's no moon. In any case, yeah. So this is what he said. Let me
more money than we have scheduled. I said, so far that sounds
okay.
with the United States of America, we have money coming in like at levels that they have never seen. I got a call the other day from the people in Congress because we're doing our bill. I didn't even
Oh, sorry, I didn't.
tell you this, Mike, and they called. They said, there's something wrong with the numbers, sir. I said, what's wrong? I don't know. They're not balancing out. There's something really wrong. I said, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, we don't know. I said, what's the problem? We're taking in much more money than we have scheduled. I said, so far that sounds good. They said, how much is it? About $80 billion. I said, do me a favor, check the tariff line. They called me back an hour later. Sir, we've taken in $88 billion in tariffs. Isn't that a beautiful thing? $88 billion. I thought I'd tell these little stories. Go off script and tell these little stories, Scott, right? Because it does make it a little more interesting. Although my speechwriters have just gotten every award in the book. Vince, where are you, Vince?
That's cool. Those guys never get a shout out. Actually, that's kind of cool of them.
He's funny. If nothing else, he's funny. Um, so yeah, I mean, the thing is that I really don't know. I'm not saying that he's not telling the truth or anything like that. I don't really know if these tariffs, what they're doing. He says they're doing well. I mean,
Uh,
I I don't really know if that's true, but I can only hope that it's true. I don't really know what to say.
well, here are the two big secrets: is that they don't know either. You can get
Nobody knows.
you can get the 100 best economists together in a room, and you're going to get 100 different answers. Honestly, nobody knows until it goes into effect, and you can see the actual practical effects. And that depends if people are being honest about it and not doing the Disney accounting thing. Because according to them, Disney Plus is a phenomenal success, and we know they're like 70 billion in the hole. So but most of the tariffs haven't really gone into effect. I suspect this money is coming in just from the ones that were already there. You know, they've been delayed and pushed back and delayed in order to achieve some negotiations. And I will say this, as a negotiating tool, they really have seemed to work. Um, we're getting some much larger deals from our trading partners, and economists will argue if that's a good or a bad thing, honestly. But we are seeing increased investment in the United States, and they're sort of moving some jobs. I think it's important that we start manufacturing things critical to our existence domestically, like computer chips, hard drives, medicine. You want to have a certain amount of self-sufficiency, even if you're importing most of that stuff. If you give up all your manufacturing base, you are completely dependent on your foreign trading partners, and you don't have to be a genius to figure out that's not necessarily a good way to do it.
You know, what I've said from day one about these tariffs, and this is my personal opinion, I understand the idea of him walking and saying, I hate everything, I want a better deal with everybody. And everybody like laughs at him, but I'll say this. I don't know if he's making like billions every second like he's saying, but it's enough that every country that had some deal is now making just a little bit of an effort, even the US getting a few points here, a few points there, maybe a few jobs are being brought to the US just to appease him. Even if it's something that at the end you say, well, from every country you got another 5% that we didn't get before, that's like more favorable to the US, that still adds up. Do you get what I'm saying? That even if he marginally managed to get like better deals on very small things here and small things there, if you add all of those things up, saying that you're not happy as a trading partner, and you're expecting your partners to do a little more for you and having them, he has that factor, Trump, of people kind of think that he's unpredictable and he's sort of, out there. I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean, a lot of these countries are like, you know what? Why don't we just give him a few extra percents here, and maybe he'll leave us alone.
Yeah,
I think
when
now
you're
recently sorry, what were you going to say?
I'm just saying, when you're talking on the scale of the GDP, there is no such thing as small. Even half a point translates into billions of dollars. So, um, so far from what I've seen, and I'm not an expert, I used to work with a bunch of economists, and I'll tell you what, it was more annoying than working with lawyers. But I mean, we have increased investment, inflation's going down, jobs are going up, my grocery bill's slightly cheaper. I don't really see a lot to complain about. So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything especially to complain about. I think he's doing the best he can under the circumstances, and I don't know if it's going to produce a lot of like wonderful results, but demanding people and saying that there need to be better deals for the U.S. isn't necessarily a bad thing. I say this, I've never been one of those people that just puts him on a pedestal and agrees with everything he says and does, but at the same time, I'm not like a TDS person. And I also recognize that at the end of the day, somebody has to be the president. And whoever it is, you're hoping at least is doing something that's better for Americans. Uh, a lot of times you'll have a president most of the time that you won't really be too happy with or too pleased or too happy all the time. But if somebody seems to at least be doing a few things that making some kind of effort, I guess it's better than nothing. And I do feel like after 4 years with Biden, who felt like there was no president even there, at least there's a guy here saying, "Oh, we need more money here. Pay us more. Give us more. This, do that." Sometimes you need somebody to just show some kind of presence.
Yeah, and
You-
it's not like we're asking for anything free. We're just asking for a level playing field for, partners that we trade with, to not have such one-sided deals.
Ye- Yeah, I agree. And there was another thing that I noticed today. He was in the headlines for something else. I don't know if you saw that. Let me see if I can find that. That he basically was saying that he wanted. He was kind of interfering in Israel's allegations against Bibi Netanyahu.
Well, there's some big news that came out of that this afternoon. I
Was
don't
there
know.
anything addition to that let's start with this. So basically, what happened is that he wrote, "I was shocked to hear that the state of Israel has just had one of its greatest moments in history." I won't do the whole thing in his voice. I'm not going to do impersonating him anyways. Strongly led by Bibi Netanyahu is continuing its ridiculous witch hunt against their great wartime prime minister. Bibi and I just went through hell together, fighting a very tough and brilliant longtime enemy of Israel, Iran. And Bibi could not have been better, sharper, or stronger in his love for the incredible Holy Land. Anybody else would have suffered losses, embarrassment, and chaos. Bibi Netanyahu was a warrior, perhaps like no other warrior in the history of Israel. That's very Trumpy. And the result was something that nobody thought was possible: a complete elimination of potentially one of the biggest and most powerful nuclear weapons anywhere in the world. And it was going to happen soon. We were fighting literally for the survival of Israel, and there's nobody in Israel's history that has fought harder or more competently than Bibi Netanyahu. Despite all of this, I just learned that Bibi has been summoned to court on Monday for the continuation of his long-running he has been going through this horror show since May of 2020, unheard of. This is the first time a sitting Israeli prime minister has ever been on trial. Politically motivated caves concerning cigars, a Bugs Bunny doll, and numerous other unfair charges. In order to do him great harm, such a witch hunt for a man who was given so much is unthinkable to me. He deserves much better than this, and so does the state of Israel. Bibi Netanyahu's trial should be canceled immediately, or a pardon given to a great hero who has done so much for the state. Perhaps there is no one that I know who could have worked in better harmony with the President of the United States, me, than Bibi Netanyahu. It was the United States of America that saved Israel. Now it's going to be the United States of America that saves Bibi Netanyahu. This travesty of quote-unquote justice cannot be allowed.
Okay. Yeah, there was much bigger news after this, but this actually might explain some of the news.
What happened after this? What did I miss that happened after this?
This afternoon, Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Israel is prepared to end the war on Gaza in 12 days since the U.S. strike and a turnover administratorship of Gaza to the United Arab Emirates and expand the Abraham Accords. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, if you can.
This is, I don't know if it'll, but one of people's issues with Netanyahu is that it started looking like he really didn't want to have peace, that he was out to completely eliminate what he perceived as a threat. And that's just not going to play with the rest of the world, regardless of, how bad Jews in Israel have had it previously. And now we're seeing an unprecedented spirit of cooperation from him. And, I wonder. Oops.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. I'm going to share it now. I've seen a few rumors, but the reason why I also didn't bring it up because I didn't see something official. But I know what you're talking about. That it says President Trump has convinced Bibi Netanyahu to end the war in Gaza within 2 weeks, per multiple reports. The priest president never stops. They've agreed that UAE, Egypt, and 2 other Arab states will govern Gaza jointly, replacing Hamas. Hamas leaders will be exiled and hostages released. In addition, Saudi Arabia and Syria would establish diplomatic ties with Israel. This would be great if Trump can pull it off. off. Now, this is what I was going to say even prior to these, whispers, which I don't know if it's official yet. But what I wanted to tell people, because initially when Trump posted this, of course, you had the usual band of, I hate calling them grifters, but I think that over the past month or so, we've seen a lot of people that have like claimed to be one thing really, really go for the grift.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the second he posted this thing, they're like, "Why is he saying that? You know, we were right, we were right." Now everything that happens, they were right. They're like, "Oh, this is it, we were right." Then they're proven wrong, like the next day. No, we were right about this. Then they're proven wrong about that. No, we were right about this. It's like some of these quote unquote influencers with these millions of people have become no different than like CNN or like in some cases, some of the nonsense that they talk could actually be aligned with like Elon Omar, in some odd, bizarre way. It's like something like between Elon Omar and CNN. And what I will say is that when I saw Trump writing all of this, I thought to myself one thing: he needs something from Bibi. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, he's stepping in here and he's saying, yes, like, this is very important. And he's putting pressure in his own way. He's putting pressure on whoever's in Israel trying to do these charges against Bibi. And I'll talk about that in a second. This is his way of putting pressure on them. And to me, because Trump is sort of a businessman I'll scratch your back and you scratch mine. The second I saw it, in spite of all these weirdos that wrote whatever they wrote, I said to myself, why is he doing this? There's probably like a bigger play here. And the more I thought about it, the more I said to myself, he probably called Bibi and said, listen, you're going to have to start signing some agreements here and going along with some stuff that I need you to do. The Abraham Accords. This Abraham Accords thing is very important to Trump. He's like, he put this together in his first term, and you could tell that he's really serious about expanding that. So in order to do that, he needs like Bibi to sort of fall into line and accept certain things. Also, with this ongoing war with Gaza, I feel like part of the things of wrapping up some of these Abraham Accords, whatever he's trying to do, he also needs to wrap this up. And I feel like this was sort of an olive branch. It was like, listen, you're going to have to start like all with whatever we're doing, but I'll put in a good word for you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And for his own people, like he has to convince people he doesn't want forever wars. And so,
Right.
I mean, this is a really good look on him. And it's a long way to go. And it's the most tumultuous place in the world in the almost 7 decades I've been alive, man. Can you imagine the meltdown on the left if they end up having to give Trump the Nobel Peace Prize for peace in the
I
Middle
think
East?
that's what he's going for. That's like
Yeah.
his dream. He wants this
Yeah.
to happen. I tend to think that even if he did like all this stuff and even was worthy of it, they probably wouldn't give it to him. They gave it to Obama like 1 second after Obama was elected. He hadn't even done anything.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hi, I'm Barack Obama." They're like, "Here you go. Here's a Nobel Peace Prize." I don't even know what he got it for. Nobody does. He just gave it to him.
For blowing up more people with drones than any other president. But listen, if he pulls this off, they may have to. And that's what I'm saying. Like, remember before I said I didn't have complaints? I do actually have one, which is, and Pete Hegseth really tore into this today in a very articulate way.
We were going to get to that, but yes.
Okay. Yeah, the way the media just refuses to acknowledge anything positive. If Trump cured cancer, the headline would be Trump puts cancer researchers out of business. Thousands lost jobs. Like,
that's here's the thing, and I always say this: I'm not just like a huge fan of any politician, and I wouldn't say that I sit around. I don't have like posters of Trump in my house. I'm just saying that I'm a practical person, and if somebody does something good, you can say that he did something good. If you think that somebody did something bad, you could also say that. The media no longer. It's already like not a situation, and it's kind of sad. Most of these kind of mainstream media, they don't make any effort to even represent any facts or if something is good or bad. They have their way that they're aligned politically, and whatever news they report has to fall into line with the politics. That actually, it's not only the left kind of leaning media, which a lot of it is. Even the right leading media can sometimes do that. I feel like they've all really gone to some corner, and they have to really always be in the same place doing the same thing, and it's kind of annoying. I think that if somebody does something decent, you can just say, okay, well, that was pretty decent. And we were talking about it last time that CNN, before this thing with Iran, with the nuclear facility, they kept saying, well, they don't have that facility. They don't have a nuclear bomb. They don't have anything. They don't have this. They don't have that. And the same anchors that are sitting there saying that there's nothing even to destroy because there's nothing there, the second the operation happens, they say, well, they didn't really destroy it. It's like 5 minutes ago you said it wasn't there. How could they, according to your own logic, how could they have destroyed something that 5 minutes ago you said didn't exist? This is the part where you lose credibility, where instead of just saying like, it's okay to be honest and it's okay to say, okay, well, this was fine. This wasn't a bad thing. It doesn't mean that you have to then agree with everything a certain politician does or say that you love him, but you could still look at something and say, well, maybe this was all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I rumble ranted this last show that because they have to take a position opposing Trump at every turn, they end up looking like idiots coming down on the sides of the cartels and human predators, and they end up defending the most least defensible, insane positions. I mean, honestly, I'm surprised they haven't. Trump has to breathe. I'm surprised they haven't come out against oxygen because, Trump eats food, so we're not going to eat food anymore. They are just so reflexively contrarian to the point where it looks worse than propaganda. All it is just completely vapid rhetoric. And I'm getting sick of it. Like, this is the news. This was supposed to be the fourth estate. These are the people that are supposed to hold our leaders and the corporations accountable. I don't think anybody depends now, but for the existence of the country, we've depended on journalists to keep people honest, and now they are the least honest people. And I'm sure you've heard this a bunch of times, because they are all so convinced that he actually is the second coming of German Mustache Man. There is no boundary they won't cross in order to oppose him.
They've been saying this for years, and I personally think that the Mustache Man was the Mustache Man, and I just don't like in general when they always say, well, this guy's the Mustache Man, that guy's the Mustache Man. Generally speaking, the Mustache Man was the Mustache Man, and you could claim that you don't like Trump, and I'm going to be honest with you. It's not that every single thing that he's said or done or ever, it's not like I'm sitting there like a cheerleader and everything I'm just saying it's the best thing ever, it's the best thing ever. You could criticize, you could say, oh, you do like this, you don't like that. But I think people are acting like such, like I said, there's this kind of drama queen feeling going on. Oh no, it's not what I voted for. It is what I voted for. He's not America first. He is America first. So many people just mumbling a bunch of crap. You understand that there's like, close to, there's like 77 million people that voted for him. There will never be a situation that a guy gets a job like this, which is not an easy job to do. And every single thing that he'll do, everybody at once is going to love and say he's the best. You know what I mean? I've seen such weird meltdowns from people about such strange things. And I also will say this guy, he has the mentality of a businessman, a sort of far out, eccentric one that's kind of out there. But usually when he does stuff, he has a reason. I honestly think that, when I saw that thing that he wrote about Bibi and his trial, I really did feel like something else is cooking and we're going to be seeing some other stuff. These of things don't just happen out of left field. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you something else. And I think that you have been outside the U.S. A lot of people that live in the U.S. have not spent some time outside of the U.S. And I actually have been in different parts of the world and spent some time, not my whole life here in the U.S., even though I was born here. And, I did grow up here. But there are certain parts of my life that I lived in different places. And I think that it gave me a pretty interesting perspective as to how things work in other regions. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that think that you're Trump now. You're talking to all these kind of Arab leaders, okay, about these Abraham Accords, and you need to do some kind of deals. You may need somebody like Bibi to sign some stuff and go to some things and agree to stuff and do some deals. You have to understand, in the Arab kind of countries and their culture, first of all, most of these countries are not democracies. They have either a king or a sultan or some family dynasty type of situation. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, they
A-
they have
a-
satraps.
And while Israel is like a democracy, I think that today, if you're one of these Arab countries and somebody's shopping a deal with you, like Trump is saying, let's sit down, let's do a deal, let's do a meeting. He doesn't want now Netanyahu removed and to bring some other dude. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys, they won't take that seriously. See, what I think people don't understand that in the Middle East, longevity in your position and the fact that you're kind of a guy that people kind of fear, that's what they respect. Do you get what I'm saying? Like they may not like the guy, but that's a guy that if they sit down and they have to do some deals with, they'll have more respect for him than if you just bring some kid now and say, "Oh, here's a new guy."
Yeah, it's a devil we know situation. Plus, he's been
Right.
dealing
I
with
mean,
Bibi for 16 years.
having doing a deal now like these Abraham Accords and these deals and these Gaza things, and suddenly that he wouldn't be there and be someone else, that may not play out well. I think that like Trump knows this guy. He's known him for decades, and basically in his own country, they've been doing this thing that for many years they've been trying to get rid of him. Now, this is a complicated situation, and I think that I can look at it in a kind of nuanced way. On the one hand, when you have a democracy that doesn't have term limits on a elected official like this, it can open the door to problems. Now, Netanyahu, for most of his, the past 30 years, most of the time he's been the prime minister. There have been a few occasions, especially in more recent years, that they somehow managed to form a coalition without him. Very soon after, relatively soon after, like within maybe a year, somehow he finds his way back. It's very difficult to get him away from it, and most of those years he's the prime minister. When there's elections, he generally is the one that usually wins the election. He puts together a coalition. He's very good at doing that. And then you have these kind of people that are always sort of upset about it. Think of TDS here in the US. You know what I'm saying? So imagine if Trump was like around for 30 years. Think of the TDS levels you'd get after 30 years.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say? Now,
Yeah.
to be fair, I will say that I think that Bibi maybe gave too much of an opening to these type of people that have BDS or whatever you want to call it, because I think that after so many years with no term limits, he started growing very comfortable in his role. And I think that this is personally, in my opinion, the things that they're charging him with, to me, they're sort of like political gray areas. There's 3 cases that they have against him, which I think that 2 of them are rather flimsy. And again, this has been going on for like a decade. They've been trying to put him in court with these cases. 2 of them, I think, are rather flimsy. And the quote-unquote strongest case they have is that over the course of many years, some billionaire used to give him fancy cigars that he smoked. And they're like, well, if we take all the years he accepted these very expensive cigars, it amounts to a lot of money. It's like, listen, he didn't go and sell them on eBay, so he smoked some cigars. It just... when I think of like Trump when he goes for a weekend to golf or whatever it is, do you realize how many millions that could cost, like, taxpayers? This guy over the course of they're like over the past 20 years, he smoked like $100,000 worth of cigars. I feel like there's probably other fish to fry in the world. It just doesn't sound like such a big deal to me. And
They definitely seem frivolous, I think is the word that these look like. He's probably done worse stuff, but it wouldn't be politically expedient for them to expose that. Like, listen, I think he at best he showed some pretty poor judgment. I think he's done some pretty bad things, but they don't want to bring those up, because it would make all of Israel look bad. But if he can bring this deal in, if he can really get a peace treaty, expand the accords for the first time in 80 years, there's a chance for peace in the Middle East. All's going to be forgiven, man.
I personally, the way I see it, also you have to take into consideration these things with the cigars have been talked about for years, and there's been a number of elections since, and he always gets elected into office. And still, you have the people that are like more, let's say, on the left, and they're like, "Well, nobody is above the law. He smoked those cigars," and it's like, yeah, and they protest and they do all this stuff, and it, it almost, to me, it kind of feels like people that are just bitter that their side isn't winning. And at some point, instead of, if you're so adamant about getting rid of this guy, why isn't your party, why isn't the left over there bringing a candidate that sort of can go toe to toe with him? I think that we kind of saw a lot of this with Trump here, that they're like, they hate him so badly and they want to try to impeach him to do all this stuff, and they need to remove him and they need to do this and they need to do that. And at the end, even like with 2020, and they need to hide the Hunter laptop thing and they have to do all that stuff. And at the end, he came back anyways. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just like, all you heard, they like January 6th, January 6th, January 6th. Well, the voters had a referendum on that, and they overwhelmingly said, we don't care. Do you know who Silvio Berlusconi is?
I do, in Italy.
Yeah, he always reminded me of the Italian Trump. He actually went to prison. He was tried, convicted, embezzling, fraud.
I think that guy was a bit more corrupt than Trump and Bibi combined.
Yeah, be fair. But he gets out of prison and they elect him again.
People do whatever they do, and at the end of the day, I can only address, I don't know what other things that you were talking about, but I can only address the type of things that they accused him of. The few things are the cigars and the champagne. I guess these same billionaires would give his wife champagne and she would drink it. This seems to me like dumb. Now, they can say, well, these billionaires gave him champagne, but later when they asked a favor from him, he helped them out. He may have helped them out anyways. You know what I mean? First of all, they're his friends. Two, if you're like a politician, which sometimes you need money, you need campaigns, you need whatever, a billionaire calls you and says, hey, I need a favor. You know that politicians do favors. Now, do I love the fact that this is how politics works, that there's all these people scratching each other's backs and all this kind of, gray area of everybody's taking care of each other's affairs? It's not something that I love. That's why I'm not a politician and I'm not in politics. But I'm not going to sit here and just act dumb and pretend that people don't do that in politics. That's what politics is. All you keep doing is scratching everybody's back and wheeling and dealing. That is basically, if you want to rise to the top of whatever political system you're in, the more wheeling and dealing and kind of gray area back patting you do, the probably more successful you're going to be. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, nobody stays in power that long without doing questionable things. The one thing about him that I heard, he's just really sort of uncouth. Like, he would steal dry cleaning services from hotels he would stay at and rip off the robes and the towel, like same stuff I do.
He seems really, really stingy, and that he, like you said, it's not only that. I think that like he would bring a lot of stuff that he wanted dry clean beyond anything reasonable. He's like, go dry clean my entire wardrobe and weird things like that. Because, they're like, oh, we'll offer you a service. And then like he unloads like his entire wardrobe and things like that. That is kind of weird. I don't really get it. I think it's odd. And maybe it's a strange quirk that he has. But honestly, even if he did make somebody dry clean his clothes, it's still something that doesn't really bother me one way or another. Like,
it's just silly. It's like, dude, you're so uncouth. It doesn't reach the level of criminality. It's just like have no class,
Right.
It's a bad look, but
it's a bad look. That's exactly what I think. Even the cigars and the champagne are a bad look, that they have to keep bringing him cigars and he's smoking them. It's a bad look that you're asking for your friends for fancy cigars and champagne. But you know what? There's other things happening in the world, and this to me just doesn't seem like such a big deal.
Look at Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York. She has them pay for her furniture, for her real estate, for all her legal fees, like hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxpayers' money going to her own personal, like way worse than this guy. This guy's just, it's just sort of silly.
I mean, the one that's the strongest case is the one that seems the silliest to me. But then the other thing that they have is like, this is also something that I try to explain, and I think it falls under a gray area. And I think also they don't have a strong case from what I understand. They're claiming that I guess at some point, some news site or something had financial problems, and they needed something. I don't know if to call it a government bailout or something where somebody approves a big loan for them. They needed money, and I guess there was something that maybe they asked or it got to him that they want money. They want him to help them get this secure either this loan or this money or whatever it is using his influence. And he said, well, if I help you do this, can you stop writing articles that like I'm a jerk all the time? Can you start writing that I'm cool and that you like me? And I think that in one of these two cases, that's basically those two other cases. I think that in one case it ended up going nowhere. So what they're saying is, yes, it ended up going nowhere, but he considered doing it. And it's like, man, I was trying to think like Trump. If Trump today like sat and the New York Times called him and said, hey, like the owner of the New York Times, I have an issue. Like I need a bailout here. We made some mistakes. Our paper is falling apart. I could 100% see Trump saying, you want a bailout? I better open the New York Times like every day for the next like 5 years and read articles that I'm the best. And maybe that deal doesn't even take place. But you think that I put it beside Trump to say that? Absolutely not. I feel like Trump would say that like nothing. He'd then go to the press and Twitter. He's like, I just told the New York Times that they need to do this. Like he'd just say it like in 5 seconds and everybody would have a good laugh. So the fact that he's like, no, like you got to write good articles about me. And I think no deal ever even happened. To me, this seems like flimsy, weird crap.
Oh, it's tissue paper thin. Like if Trump had gone to Epstein's Island, he would brag about it. So like now, as far as Bibi, I'm sure like it must be a nightmare to work for him to like be an assistant. Like he sends them out for lunch and they have to pay,
it's probably he's probably stingy and annoying and he's probably difficult. And you could be a person that has a lot of flaws and maybe, he's made mistakes. And maybe also after so many years in charge, he's gotten a bit kind of too comfortable in that position, maybe occasionally doing something that if you thought about it another minute, it's probably not such a great idea. But I still think that considering that I think for like 10 years, they've been trying to chase him with these cigars. There's also, imagine that for something that they perceive as like, all the years that they've calculated with the champagne and the wine for his family and himself, that it was like $100,000 or whatever it was. Imagine, do you know how much money went into trials trying to put him in jail for smoking cigars? Like
way more.
If you're a citizen of a country and you understand that probably, we're talking about tens and tens of millions of dollars minimum, to try to, and this is a minimum, so it could be even more. This has been going on for years. How much of people's money, like if you're paying taxes somewhere and they're going after like your leader for 10 years for some stupid cigars thing and spending like about like 1,000 times more than those cigars were ever worth of taxpayers' money, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I he's been in power for so long that he's gotten comfortable and he doesn't give a crap about the optics anymore. So he's going to do things, questionable or just things that aren't a good look. He doesn't care. He's been around that long, and Trump never cares about the optics, So listen, I really don't think anything is gonna come of this stuff. At some point, it just makes the people attacking him look unreasonable and feral and like the bad guys. So if he pulls this off, I think he's definitely, going to win the hearts of most of the Israeli people who I think, are tired of being in a constant state of war.
Yeah, I mean, I also think that this war has been going on for a long time. I generally think that if there was a way to end some wars and bring these countries to these Abraham Accords or whatever it is, to have them join it and do something like that, I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. I don't know.
It is for some people. I mean, some people want. Listen, that whole death to the USA. They've got their version of those people in Israel too, and then they have all the people that make money on war. They're not enthusiastic about it stopping, but the general public is tired of this.
I think that most general publics in most places, they're interested in stuff like peace, and it's not easy. It's not easy in the Middle East to do anything, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea. I don't think it's bad that Trump is trying this. I mean, we've had enough war over the past number of years. And I will also say that I think that some of these wars in this situation also had something to do with Biden. And I say this as somebody, and I say
absolutely.
I say this often, and this is something that prior to Biden, I mean, it's not that I don't understand what's happening in politics. I actually do, and it's not that I take zero interest in it, but I kind of, I felt that it was something that I couldn't do much about, and I didn't always spend my time discussing all day. The thing with Biden is that I genuinely feel that a lot of countries, and especially I was talking about these kind of Arab countries or these kind of radical places or these type of regimes, for them, when they see some older man who's confused and doesn't know what's going on, this is a very, very bad situation, because that is exactly the type of situation that these countries would say, well, now's our chance. Now let's take advantage of the situation. And I think that during the Biden years, it really gave them that feeling. It emboldened a lot of people. The
Oh,
way he left,
absolutely.
the way he left Afghanistan, I thought was terrible. And again, it doesn't matter. Even if I was this affiliated with this party or that party, I'm not actually registered with any party. But if I was, I would still say that. You know what I mean? I think that because I don't tie myself to a certain party, I can just be honest. And the truth is that thing with Afghanistan was a real issue. I think that
Oh,
that made the U.S. look very weak, and it really gave the feeling that Biden doesn't really know what's going on.
we
And
left them $70 billion worth of equipment, including 300,000 guns and 70,000 vehicles, and those vehicles are still harming people as we speak. We basically armed the Middle East with our disastrous withdrawal. But let me ask you a question.
sure.
Have you noticed that, okay, Israel starts bombing Iran? There's a little squeak about it here or there, but the actual outcry from most of the nations wasn't very strong. And then when we go and we bomb Fordow and the other installations, there's no outcry. None of the Europe is quiet. Middle East is quiet. Like everybody's, like you would expect if this had happened 10 years ago, the entire world would be lined up to condemn the US. Nobody said a word. They were in support of this. They wanted this to happen. As the big money with like UAE and Saudi Arabia, they're trying to modernize. They've made huge progress on women's rights. They want females to they want tourism, and they don't want to have anything to do with this mullah crap. And I kind of think everybody called up Trump and said, yeah, man, do what you have to do. We are so tired of this shit.
I
Like,
absolutely agree. I don't think that any of those countries, especially like Iran, I don't think anybody in Europe liked them. Nobody liked this situation, but they all kind of wanted to, tap dance around it. And then he did what he did, and suddenly nobody's saying anything.
yeah,
And yeah, as long, when Israel was doing that, because generally speaking, they just don't like them, so they had whatever to say about it. But yeah, when he did it, a lot less people were saying that. I don't know if you know, he went to like NATO or something to some
yeah.
meeting, and like they were all kind of like clapping. Everybody was like really excited to see him.
Oh,
I
that's where
think
the call him daddy thing happened. That was at the NATO meeting where they agreed to give 2.5 times more money than he was asking into NATO. Like he got, they usually hate him in NATO, and he was just swamped with love this time.
right, because the thing is, he's like, "Oh, we're doing this, we're doing that, and you guys aren't paying your keep. You guys aren't doing that." Suddenly, he comes back from here. They're like, "You know what, sir? Maybe we should be paying you more." You know what I mean? And you can laugh about him all you want. I remember that in those debate things, in that one debate that actually I don't think he was very good at. It was the only kind of win that Kamala had was that first debate. What she said to kind of annoy him was like, the whole world, they laugh at you. All the world leaders, they laugh at you behind your back. She was saying this to him, and it kind of got under his skin.
Oh yeah,
But you know what? I actually think that they don't do that. I think that he created a situation and he's unpredictable. He puts his foot down. He's stubborn, and I think that a lot of these people, even if he annoys them, I don't think that making fun of him necessarily is the right term.
yeah,
Maybe they're concerned. Maybe they're worried sometimes, but I don't think that making fun was the right way to describe it.
yeah. He's unpredictable. Like the woman said, now he's a G. He's a capital G. And
Right.
he ain't scared, so shut the fuck up. We gonna make some bread. Like, um, so one of the things, it's weird how so Price and I were talking. We've been to a lot of the same places around the world. It must be Like our generation was particularly attracted to those areas like India, Southeast Asia. It's just, I found it, I thought it was cool that we both been to a bunch of the parts of the world. But remember when those American students actually flew to Egypt and they were gonna speak up for Gaza, and they're like, "No, this isn't America. You're under arrest. Like, shut up." Like, and they're
Right.
they're just baffled. They're like, "We have free speech," and like, "No, you don't. Sorry, no, you're." A few of you are getting arrested. Most of you are just getting deported, and they deport 1,200 of them back to the U.S. It's like, I wondered that was a real eye opener for them that have never been out of the U.S. and don't
E-
understand how the rest of the world works.
The Egyptians, they really did stuff to make sure that none of those Palestinians cross over into Egypt. They
Oh
took
no, yeah.
extreme measures. You know, you always hear about like the Israeli side. Most people don't talk about the Egyptian
No,
side.
never. They never talk about it.
And
Israel lets aid go through and everything. It's
I'll
like
tell you
a
why. I'll tell you why is because, and I've explained this before. It's kind of like in America when you have like a certain group of people doing crime against another people from the same group, and usually that doesn't get reported a lot, or people don't talk about it because it doesn't fit a certain narrative. And it's the exact same with Egypt. You could accuse probably Egypt of things that are just as bad or worse or whatever it is that you want to accuse, and nobody ever says anything about them.
no. They
And and I think always that it's very telling how Egypt, who has these people who seemingly are of a similar culture, speak the same language, supposedly these would be the perfect candidates to be
yeah.
to go into Egypt. Not only that, and this is another thing that most people don't talk about. You know that there was a time that Egypt was actually in control of Gaza,
Yeah.
like that was in Egyptian control,
That
and
was
when
a
they did
6 day
that.
war.
Yes, and after the war, that changed, and when they did a deal with Israelis, their peace deal, and Israel returned a lot of land, they basically said, "We don't want Gaza. You keep Gaza." And that is really the reason why today Israel has Gaza, because Egypt refused to take it. And honestly, it also has to do. Sorry, I know he passed away. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but I kind of am. I think that Carter was pushed around very easily there, and he pushed Israel to accept that deal. That at the end, instead of the Egyptians taking over Gaza, which would have been a much better scenario, it was left with Israel. And
Not
the reason why it would have been better with the Egyptians is that I don't know how to say this in the nicest possible way, but they wouldn't have taken shit from nobody. You know what I mean? Like if the Egyptians ruled there and there was any kind of uprising, whatever, there would have been different ways of handling that, and at the same time, the entire world wouldn't have even been talking about it.
No, they look at jihadis like a highly infectious plague, and they are not going to have any of it for a second. And that's why they don't even let humanitarian aid go through that border. And on the West Bank too, nobody wants these people. And
Uh, Female Silver Usurper says, "Does anybody know why all the Arab states dislike the Palestinians?" I think that first of all, this is actually a thing. Most of these states that are like, oh, well, let's fight for them, let's this, let's that. They actually don't seem to really like them. In their, and I think that this is something based also, like I said, I haven't always lived in the U.S. and based on things that I've seen and interacted with people over time and even seen some things. To them, I think that these guys in Gaza seem like low level to them. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
yeah, yeah,
Like they seem to them
they're barbaric.
right. They when they think about them, they think of them as like as the bottom of the barrel. When they think about like the Arab world or whatever it is, they don't think very highly of them. To them, like this is a group of people that they consider at the bottom.
They're like
And
the untouchables from the Hindu caste in India. Like no, it's a stratified caste system in the Arabic world, and these are the untouchables.
yeah, it's something like that. And basically, if it wasn't for Israel, which they maybe just like, there's a reason why they have to dislike them. Uh, if Israel wasn't there, probably their primary target for people they dislike would be these guys. Do you get what I'm saying? That's the
Yeah.
ironic part here, is that that all these guys think very, very little of them. And I'll say this about Egypt. One of the reasons that I think that Egypt were so adamant about not getting that land and about saying like Israel has to take it, we don't want anything to do with it, is because they knew the type of population that's there. They knew better than anybody. They knew exactly what was happening there, and they said, you know what? We don't want this. And you know what? I can't blame them either.
No, there's another thing that never gets talked about. The Palestinians sold tons of land to Israel. It's not just occupied. You know, they actually have more. Palestinians in Israel and the West Bank have way more rights than they do in other countries. But they sold a lot of that land. It's not like they just went in and took it. The other thing is that the Palestinians are quite demanding to the other Arab countries. They want to come in and immediately start telling them what to do. And just nobody wants to put up with that shit. It's like an entire land of your crazy aunt and uncles that nobody wants to come over the house.
Yildiz says King Hussein kicked the PLO out after they tried to overthrow him. King Hussein of Jordan, there was something, back, this was decades ago, something called like Black September. He saw that there was like an uprising of like Palestinians in Jordan, whatever it is, that the amount of people that he like, killed, he brought out like all his tanks. Everybody was like being like, it was crazy what went on there. That guy didn't take shit from them for 1 second. He just saw that there was some problems, sent out his army, and he couldn't care less. And it's like another one of those situations that, of course, like nobody had anything to say about it in the world.
Well,
And it does show something about hypocrisy.
It's like, and they did give Gaza to the Palestinians with tons of money and resources. And what do? They burn it all to the ground. They dig tunnels. They buy weapons. Hell, they sent, what was it? They sent balloons, and they turned them into weapons. Like, or I think it was actually, it might have been the condoms that they turn into balloons with little things that go boom, and they send them back over to the border. They're just sort of, and I'm sure not every one of them is like that. It's a generalization, but it's enough of a reputation that nobody else wants to deal with them. So again, man, if they manage to hammer this deal out with Iran, this could be just,
I really hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done. I don't know if it's possible or not, but I'm not against, something like that. I think there's been a lot of wars, and there've been a lot of wars in recent years, and it would be nice if there was less wars. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying that it's easy to achieve that, and I don't know if it's possible, but if it is possible and that happens, I'm not against it. Somebody, female Silva Usurper, says President Carter was the only president that could get U.S. helicopters to crash into themselves in a desert. I know that over the years, because like after he left office, he kept on going around and sort of, I don't want to speak ill of somebody who's not here, but sort of sticking his nose where it didn't belong all day, even though like there was no reason for it. He's always like, oh, I'm fighting for this cause, I'm fighting for that cause. At the end of the day, he could have fought for how many ever causes that he wants. It doesn't really change the fact that I think he wasn't a good president.
Listen, man, the guy was a phenomenal human being. But as a president, he was disastrous, and we're still feeling the very effects to this day of his presidency. He was the one that convinced the Shah of Iran to let the Ayatollah out of jail, and then they have a revolution. He's a man of God. He wouldn't possibly do anything bad. So, I mean, Carter is like the listen, if Carter gives you some advice, you should probably do the opposite thing. And when it comes to politics, but listen, man, that's just honest. I think he was a great human being, and he accomplished a lot more, out of the office than he ever did with the office. As president, he was an outright disaster. From an inflationary policy, you can just go look it up, line item. And some of those things we're still feeling the pain of today. But that was the first president since World War I where people looked at America and saw weakness, and people tried to take advantage of that.
Out of his presidency, J.E. was okay.
I think it
Who?
meant JC, Jimmy Carter. Yeah, he was a humanitarian. He was a good human being, just a terrible president.
I don't know. I only kept thinking about how he wasn't a good president. I know maybe he did some causes. I don't really know.
Well, the Carter Center was established where I live, and I got to. I wouldn't say I met him. I got to be in the same room with him a dozen times. They had
Did he
different
eat
events.
peanuts?
No, he started Habitat for Humanity though. Like he did some really good things, man. Just not in that office. And there's a couple really weird. God, what's it called? It's the commission that where they did some things with scientific funding. Eric Weinstein knows about this, where they basically changed the way that pure research was funded for the worse, and they tied it more to the universities. And then all of a sudden, people are sort of always having to get grants instead of getting a set stipend for research. I don't know enough of it off the top of my head, but listen, man, it's almost every decision he made was not good. Um, and then when Reagan took it, like all the things that Reagan accomplished, I wasn't a fan of him at the time, but looking back, none of that would have happened if Carter had been in office. He just didn't protect American strength around the world. And I really think Trump's mantra, peace through strength, there's really something to that. And I didn't really honestly think that for a big portion of my life. But listen, it's all good to not believe in violence and be a pacifist. But if your neighbor doesn't think that way, you're in trouble.
He was the wrong man for the job, Carter. That's
Yeah.
all I can say. And yeah, I mean, speaking of wrong man for the job, we have this whole situation in New York now
Oh
with
my.
this guy. This is also just bizarre, bizarre and disappointing.
This could end up being really disastrous. Some of the more commercial realtors had like a 30% increase in activity as far as moving out of the city. And a lot of the deals that have already been inked, people are trying to get out of their moving into New York deals that were already closed upon. So, listen, man, most of those people, they don't need to be in New York. You can do most of all the entire financial industry runs on laptops. You could do it all from Starbucks. Like, if enough of the money moves out of the tax base, then he doesn't have any money to pay for all of his pie in the sky programs. And he's what, 33? He hadn't even run a Domino's pizza, man. The guy has
never
zero
done anything.
experience. Yeah.
He's never done anything. How is this guy even like a viable candidate? The Democrats, the fact that like this is their candidate is such an embarrassment. Donald Trump said, "It's finally happened. The Democrats have crossed the line. Zoran Mandani, 100% communist lunatic, has just won the Dem primary. Is on his way to becoming mayor. We've had radical lefties before, but this is getting a little ridiculous. It looks terrible. His voice is grating. He's not very smart. He's got AOC +3. Dummies all backing him. And even our great Palestinian senator, crying Chuck Schumer, is groveling over him. Yes, this is a big moment in the history of our country." But yeah, I mean, I first of all, it's very embarrassing when you see like Chuck Schumer really trying to cozy up to this guy.
Yes, it is.
It's embarrassing. Not that I even like Chuck Schumer, but man, that's like even as much as I didn't think very much of him, it makes me even think even less of him. And this really goes to show you that some of these people, these more Democrats or far, I don't even want to say far left because regular Democrats voted for this guy thinking this is a good idea. Communism has never been a good idea. It's not a good idea in a place like New York. This guy is sort of like, anti-West communism person. This isn't a person that you elect for mayor of New York. And forget about his background. Forget about like the stuff he believes in. Forget about the stuff that he's said in the past and what he's been involved in. Forget about everything. This guy is 33 years old, and like you said, has never really done anything. You know what I mean? Like, if I went now and I'm like, I want to run for mayor somewhere, I would think to myself, is my resume good enough? Will this convince people that I've done something? And still, I can say a few things that I've done. This guy can't say anything. And he's just walking around and smiling, and everybody's like, oh, and let's kiss his ass. And really, really, you know,
Yeah, but
really
you
disappointing.
you understand the appeal of what he's saying. Say you're a young, 20 something or 30 something, you're working hard, you have to share a crappy apartment with 5 people, and you're barely making ends meet. And this guy comes and talks about free groceries and freezing rent without the understanding that it's all part of an economic engine where all the parts have to move. You don't get something for nothing. But if you're young and you're in trouble and you feel like hopeless because, oh, I'll never be able to own a place, you understand the appeal. Um, and Brett Weinstein, he once asked this question, and the question is, why does communism continue to reemerge despite having established multiple times around the world that it has a fundamental flaw and it can't ever work? And his answer, he's an evolutionary biologist. So he answered it along the lines of evolution. He says, communism is a natural and inevitable consequence of a system of meritocracy that does not have a mechanism for taking care of those who lose. And communism will always appeal to those who are failing at meritocracy.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that this whole thing with this Zoran guy is embarrassing. His father is also one of those kind of extreme. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Like an extreme Columbia professor, the kind that incites weird. Like, I don't know if incites, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Well,
I,
his mother made a Disney movie that
what Disney movie did she make?
he was the music director um, with it. Her name's like Malia Laya. Hold on, I'll look it up.
I think his father was like teaching courses in like anti-Western colonialism or something like that. This is bad news. This is not the type of radical elements you want, and people thinking to themselves, "Oh, you don't like him because of his background or because something about him." It's not anything about like his ethnicity or things like that. You could be, I don't know if he's half Pakistani, half something. I don't even know what his background is. Exactly, or what his exact
Oh,
ethnicity is. It's not that. If he was like coming out as just a regular person and hopefully a guy that's had a few jobs and has a resume, that would be a different story. The fact that he doesn't really have a resume and all he has is these kind of weird, you know, type of activism, not good activism,
oh
really
no,
radical
no,
activism.
he's a proud and vocal anti-Semite man. He
Right.
wants
I mean,
death to the Jews.
this sort of feels like a fancier. Again, I don't know if it's fair for me to say that. Maybe no, actually, I
No,
think
he's
it's like
not trying to hide it. He's
no, he's not.
advertising it.
He's a fancy Mahmoud Khalil or whatever his name is. You know what I mean? He's like
Mm-hmm.
a fancier version of that. And also, I mean, not for nothing, I think that until a few years ago, I don't even think he was a citizen here. I mean, that a guy that basically wants communism, doesn't seem to like America, has only been here or has only been a citizen a limited amount of time, and he's running for mayor and he doesn't have a resume and he's only been an activist and I guess a failed rapper and an activist, and
Yeah,
now he wants,
and he did all the musical production for all of his mother's films.
I guess, for
Um,
his mother's films.
yeah,
This to me, man, this does not feel like mayoral material. And the
the
fact that people in
Queen.
New York went in these primaries, these Democrats went and voted for this guy is just, it's unbelievable.
Well, look
Uh,
at their choices. That's another problem, is that they weren't really fielding. Listen, you got the psychotic Hamas socialist anti-Semite, and then you have the guy that killed grandma and is essentially a serial sex pest.
yeah,
And
I mean,
then you
I
have your garden variety crooked current
I'll,
mayor.
I have to be honest. I think that some of those things of him like being the pest or whatever it is, I think that that was a bit exaggerated. I think that he's like more of an old school guy. Maybe he hugged some secretaries he didn't need to, and maybe he could have carried himself differently. I didn't get the impression that he was doing like essay stuff.
No, that's
I
fair
feel
enough.
like at best you could just say like, hey, hey, you're like the things are different now, tone it down and be less like touchy feely for your people
Yeah,
around you. But
he was.
I don't think that he was the as bad as they described. I
Well,
think
that's
that
why I say pest. He did some
right.
harassing to women that didn't have a sense of humor at all. That to the most sensitive people. Like,
If he would have acted the way that he acted about like 20 years ago, nobody would have said anything. It's only kind of in our day and age and in the
yeah,
aftermath of all like the Me Too and all the people trying to complain all day and getting like, doing lawsuits and whatever. I feel like he fell victim to kind of that situation. I personally think that this was blown out of proportion
yeah,
in his
I'd
case.
agree.
And again, it's not that I'm sitting around. I don't live in New York. Like, I don't live in New York. I didn't vote for the guy. I don't really care one way or another. I can just look at it from the side, and based on what they were saying, they're like, "Oh, he hugged me and he kissed me on the cheek." He's Italian. He's an older Italian guy. He works. He taught the secretaries. He gives them a hug and leaves. It's probably inappropriate. It was stupid of him, but I really think that this thing. I never got the impression in those situations that he did any kind of like essaying or even crossing certain lines as much as like just in our day and age what he would be doing would probably be considered appropriate, and that's fine. As far as the grandma and all that other stuff, I think that he made some decisions that didn't work out well for people, and I could see why some people would be upset about it. I i i, I don't know how to say this, and I'm going to try to be fair. That whole Kove situation was complicated. A lot of things were happening, and I think that a lot of mistakes were made by a lot of different people, including politicians. And maybe if they understood how things were playing out or what they were early on, maybe in some cases some things would have been handled differently. Uh, it's sometimes a situation where you're sort of Monday morning quarterbacking. I can't blame every single person that had to be in charge of a place while this was happening. I
Yeah,
can't imagine that it was an easy position to be in, and I'm trying to at least be more reasonable about that. At the
yeah,
same
but
time, it doesn't mean that I like Gavin Newsom, because I think that
right.
guy, that for example, I have like as opposed to Cuomo, that I think maybe made mistakes that I don't know if he intentionally made them, as much as the mistakes that he made cost lives, and or somebody could argue cost lives. I think that in the case of Gavin Newsom, he's kind of just a douche.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He might have just been listening to advisors that gave him wrong information or
Right,
really
right.
bad
That
advice. But there's no denying that his tenure as mayor was a kind of a disaster. But here's the thing: are these two guys really the best that Democrats can put up to
no,
be
no.
mayors for the biggest city? I would rather elect Kingpin for freaking mayor. Like,
I'm almost sorry. I'm almost sorry that I didn't like move to New York and become a Democrat just so I can run against these guys. Like, it kind of feels like that they've insulted the whole institution. Like,
oh, Leslie Headland could have been your running mate. You guys can reconnect, hook up.
I don't know where she lives right now. She used to live in the East Village. I don't know if she lives there
Oh no,
anymore.
she lives in
But
LA.
I would have made a better mayor than Zoran Mamdani or whatever his name is. I would have made a better mayor than him. I regret now that I didn't go and run for mayor. The
Listen,
problem
I
is, sorry, go on.
I don't know where this delusional guy thinks he's going to get the money to create state-run grocery stores to be able to, pay for all of the stuff that he's saying he'll pay for. Like, it really speaks of pie in the sky inexperience. Um, if he raised taxes any more than they're already raised in New York City, he's going to lose a huge portion of his tax base, and he's going to have less money. It's easy for the uber rich, who are really championing this guy, but the regular Cuomo got all the votes of the working people, both minorities and white. He got the really young and stupid vote, and then he got the champagne socialist vote, the people that have enough money that they're not really affected. But even they, I find, when the taxes go up, they're not all together happy about it either. They expect it to come from somebody else's tax money. I
I
think
mean,
there'd be a big what's it called? They're in for a rude awakening when they see how he would intend to pay for all this.
I mean, the thing is that there's still a path to try to, make sure he doesn't
Oh
get
yeah,
elected. First of all, I think that Eric Adams, the current mayor, is going to run. I think that at least some people would already prefer to vote for him,
oh yeah,
and not vote for for this guy. All the
right.
charges, whatever they wanted against Mayor Adams, have been dropped,
And,
so he could run now.
and
And
you can't spoil the election, so any votes that Curtis Silva would get would go over to the second choice candidate once he's out of the race. So people are asking Silva to drop out, but he doesn't really have to because the way the balloting's done in New York.
Wait, so how does it work? So you're saying that if Curtis Sliwa and Eric Adams and Mamdani all run, and let's say uh, Curtis wouldn't ruin Eric Adams' chance?
Right, because so you have three candidates. You would rank them on your ballot 1, 2, and 3. And your second candidate would never be able to interfere with your first candidate, and your third candidate would never interfere with your second. So as soon as Curtis was deemed that he didn't get enough votes to win, then only the people that voted for him, the ballot would go down to their second choice. So as long as Adams is their second choice, he would end up with the majority.
I see.
That's kind of how Adams became mayor to begin with, because he wasn't the front runner Democrat and he wasn't the Republican to begin with. He was actually everybody's third choice, but because the first and second choices didn't have a chance of getting a majority of the vote, he ended up becoming mayor. It's the same thing that would happen if you did a runoff after picking the top two candidates that didn't get a majority. So it's not unfair. It's just I have a very difficult time explaining how the balloting works to people who aren't dumb. So I think your average person, you're not going to be able to explain to them how.
I just realized that the dead man gave us a super chat on YouTube, and I didn't notice that, and I apologize. Let me try to share that just so people could see that.
I was supposed to keep track of that. I didn't see it either, actually. On YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube. Hopefully the dead man is still around. Sorry, dead man, that I didn't see. Now we got, is there life on Mars, Bowie?
Oh, yeah. I did see that, but it didn't register as a super chat because I was just like, oh, cool, man, Bowie. Like, awesome.
I personally don't think there's life on Mars, but that's my opinion. You'd think there'd be life somewhere. Yeah, I guess Mars is as good as any place for there to be life, but I don't tend to think so. I know that Elon Musk keeps on saying how we need to go to Mars, but I'm not sure exactly what we need to do there. I'm not saying it's bad. It's an interesting, ambitious thing to do. I just don't quite understand what we're supposed to be doing on Mars.
Life on Mars would be 10 times as horrible as it is on the worst of Earth's prisons. Like, you would have to be in a completely hermetically sealed environment. You're not going to have a lot of space. You're never going to be able to go outside. You're not going to be able to grow food for a long. I think the idea is a science fiction one of eventually terraforming the place, but that's like centuries in the future if we're ever able to do it. No, it's a lot easier to make the Earth more habitable than it is to make Mars habitable at all. But,
did you see how quiet Elon Musk has been recently?
Yeah, I think we should go because I believe in scientific exploration and space travel and always extending the bounds of humanity for sure. But it's not like it's an answer to our current problems.
I don't know why I just thought of this, but ever since that
really quiet.
That whole situation with Trump, you never hear from Elon Musk. Not really. He'll retweet something. He'll say like put some weird emojis on some post on X, but he is nowhere near as vocal as he was. He's really keeping a low profile.
Everyone's saying my profile picture is distracting, so I'm gonna let's.
Listen, there was nothing wrong with it. It was reasonable enough, that profile picture.
Yeah. It's getting a lot of comments in chat. But hell, Elon didn't even compliment on the Israeli thing. So you figure, hey, way to avoid World War III. Way to make way to create a path to peace. Like
Yeah,
those are
no, he's
pretty
saying
awesome
nothing.
things.
He says nothing, Elon Musk, about anything. Like he's so quiet about all the politics.
Yeah, he's never been this quiet since 2002. Like the world seems weird without him talking all the time.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of it. I wonder to myself, it's possible that he just decided to focus on his companies, take a step
Yeah.
back, and become less political.
Well, he
Which
does have work
really,
to do.
yeah, I mean, really, if you're running these companies, it's probably better not to mix and all of this politics with them. It's not helping your shares or your companies or your
Yeah.
operations or anything you do. I just sort of am surprised at the way it all went down.
And I'm absolutely certain that Elon was not prepared, had no idea just how disgusting DC and politics are. He thought he was going to go in there, clean that shit out, find the money, and everybody's going to say, yeah, this is obviously reasonable. He had no idea how much of a swamp the swamp was. And he's probably going to be reeling over that for quite some time. And he had no idea the amount of hate that he was going to incur. The same people that, were calling him the savior of humanity a couple of years ago are like, praying for his demise. That's gotta hit you where you live, man.
Yeah, I think that maybe even though he thought that he would, there would be a lot of heat, I think that
Yeah.
the amount of heat was more than he
Oh
bargained
yeah.
for.
Well, he
And
is a celebrity CEO. He likes the attention. He likes the adulation. And boy, when all the hate started coming in, that was a different experience for him, and he was not happy.
I thought that them potentially working together and Elon doing a lot of stuff to cut waste, there was a lot of potential in that. I actually think that that could have been interesting, and I don't know that it's that great that he kind of backed down and he's not really going to be doing that anymore. I don't think it's that great.
No, and Big Balls retired this week
Yeah,
as well.
things are bad when Big Balls has jumped shift from the Doge
Well,
crew.
here's the man. I know. So there's a couple kinds of waste, and a lot of it is just the price of doing business, which shouldn't exist. But in a practical, pragmatic sort of way, it's going to be transactional. You want something, you're going to have to give something. So a lot of money going out is payment to somebody's district for doing this or supporting this kind of thing. But I'm convinced, man, like at least a third of that massive entire budget just ends up vanishing, going to bullshit. And I was really hoping that they were going to find massive amounts of pork that they could cut. And I think from what I read that Big Balls, he just got tired of fighting an entire system that didn't want him to do that. So at least they exposed USAID, and maybe we can get some of these things codified in Congress. But it's not enough money. It's not going to solve the problem. But I think it gave people an idea of just how much bullshit is in the budget.
He only really started with the tip of the iceberg. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He was saying he was going to do this to the Pentagon and different places, and he never got around to it. He did ask a lot of interesting questions, and I don't know. I
Absolutely.
think that he should have been taken more seriously. Marks for Seven says Big Balls landed at Social Security admin. I did not know that.
Oh, I thought he landed at a security consulting firm, or
Yeah, that's
maybe
what I would think would happen to him, but who knows?
maybe it's both. But I don't know. I kind of hope that maybe those guys are still working behind the scenes at a much lower profile. I still have hope, but it's going to take generations of presidents to really clear out the swamp, if it's even possible. The true thing that runs this country is the bureaucracy, and we don't vote for them. They don't have term limits, and they are almost impossible to budge. And it's been the downfall of every civilization in 10,000 years that when the bureaucracy becomes unwieldy, the civilization falls.
Yeah, I don't
On
know. I
that
mean,
cheery note,
Yeah, the very strange. Also, the way he exited. The thing with the black eye, and then he was upset, and the tweets and everything. It's just so many strange things were going on there. But maybe one day people will find out more about what happened there. For now, it's all a bunch of strange speculation.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, I think that he had something to contribute. He may be an eccentric, strange guy, Elon, but I think that when it comes to his team and trying to find spending, he probably would have been good in that. But there's nothing anybody can do. Uh,
Yeah, he's weird, but I really believe he's sincere, and and I believe he wants to. He really wanted to help, but that doesn't mean he also wanted to get credit for it. But man, it takes a particular kind of person. Oh, I just want to go back. You remember the thing I said? Why communism won't go away, because it inevitably appeals to the people who fail out of the system of meritocracy. A corollary of that means that all of the people that support and promote communism are the ones that couldn't make it in a meritocracy. They're by definition, lesser than, as a general rule. They are the ones that weren't smart enough to survive in a merit-based economy, which means you're going to have a lot of dummies.
it feels like it's always been this kind of tool where you appeal to people that are like, hey, how would you like it if you did nothing and we took care of everything for you? And really, on some level you hear that and you're like, wow, that's great. But almost, not almost in every case that they've tried this experiment, it always backfires, because this system just is not viable. It's not sustainable. And why? They always try to reinvent it and bring it back each time, only for it to fail and be dumb again. I don't understand it. Why do you think that something that's failed for over and over again, that nothing good has ever come out of it, why do you think you're going to be the person that doesn't and it's going to be great? And the only thing I can tell you is that some people, like this Mamdani guy, this is my own personal opinion, maybe he's coming to spread this type of thing, not with good intentions, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, like I don't think they are hoping, socialism or communism will succeed, but I think they're hoping at least this time I'll be on top. So I'll get mine and the rest of you, I mean, communism was great if you were the supreme leader, right? If you were in the inner circle, Politburo, if you're the one with the power, but they didn't have a chance of becoming people with power in a meritocracy and a market driven economy. So, but also, again, why will it work this time? Their line is, oh, it's never been done right. But it can't be done right. And that's kind of been proven. But remember, we're talking about maybe the not sharpest crayons in the box that are trying to do it.
Anyhow, we also had this thing with Pete Hegseth that he did this press conference that he was really annoyed with a lot of press here. So let's just look at it.
Because you, and I mean specifically you, the press, specifically you, the press corps, because you cheer against Trump so hard, it's like in your DNA and in your blood to cheer against Trump, because you want him not to be successful so bad, you have to cheer against the efficacy of these strikes. You have to hope maybe they weren't effective. Maybe the way the Trump administration has represented them isn't true. So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful. How many stories have been written about how hard it is to, fly a plane for 36 hours? Has MSNBC done that story? Has Fox? Have we done the story how hard that is? Have we done it 2 or 3 times so that American people understand? How about how difficult it is to shoot a drone from an F-15 or 16 or F-22 or F-35? Or what it's like to man a Patriot battery? Or how hard it is to refuel midair? Giving the American people an understanding of how complex and sophisticated this mission really was. There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did that because of the hatred of this press corps are undermined because your people are trying to leak and spin that it wasn't successful. It's irresponsible. And folks in this room are privy to that information because of the proximity here in the Pentagon. It's an important responsibility. And time again, classified information is leaked or peddled for political purposes to try to make the president look bad. And what's really happening is you're undermining the success of incredible B-2 pilots and incredible F-35 pilots and incredible refuelers and incredible air defenders who accomplished their mission, set back a nuclear program in ways that other presidents would have dreamed. How about we celebrate that? How about we talk about how special America is, that only we have these capabilities? I think it's too much to ask, unfortunately, for the fake news. So we're used to that. But we also have an opportunity to stand at the podium and read the truth of what's really happening. And the reality is, you want to call it destroyed, you want to call it defeated, you want to call it obliterated, choose your word. This was an historically successful attack, and we should celebrate it as Americans. And it gives us a chance to have peace, chance to have a deal, and an opportunity to prevent a nuclear Iran, which is something President Trump talked about for 20 years.
Well, the sad thing is, all those people in that room, they didn't hear a damn word he said.
No, they didn't care. And then there was this other thing here with this lady from Fox, of all places, that I guess he had an issue with.
It's about highly enriched uranium. Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordo Mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect. But Jennifer, you've been about the worst, the one who misrepresents the most intentionally. What the president says. I'm familiar.
About the ventilation shafts on Saturday night. And in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging that this was the first the most successful mission based on operational security that this department has done since you've been here. And I appreciate that. So we're looking at all aspects of intelligence and making sure we have a sense of what was where.
Why not? It's about highly enriched uranium. Do you have
I think this is Lupe.
certainty?
But it's this lady. Why?
Gee, I'm so shocked. She looks like that. What a surprise.
No, but what did she say that I never even noticed this lady. Did she? Why did he kind of take his aim on her? Did she really annoy him?
Well, she was the one talking about the mission being a failure, referencing that leaked report. She wasn't the main person. That was CNN's Natasha Bertrand, who was the same woman that produced the 51 spies of
the thing with the misinformation with Hunter Biden. That was ridiculous. That lady. See, in a perfect world, I think that lady shouldn't be able to write serious articles anymore. I think that if you're gonna do what you did with that thing, knowingly, most likely knowing what she did and everything, that should be enough to damage your credibility. The fact that later she writes big articles after that one was clearly a political spin,
And she missed the big thing on that top secret document was low confidence. And of course, she failed to mention that part. They call her the Langley Bugle because when you have misinformation that you want to leak to embarrass Trump, you go to her. But because she works for so many different people, the idea is nobody can stand her long enough that she will stay at the same newsroom. It's kind of a, what's her name? Not Laura Loomer, that young woman from the, I'm boomering, Taylor
Lorenz.
That's it. Yeah. It's one of those situations.
I understand. Yeah, I don't take her seriously either. But, it was funny. That Pete Hegseth guy is kind of funny. He's a character.
I thought he couldn't have said it any better. He was articulate, direct to the point, and they didn't hear a single thing that he said.
Female silver usurper. That lady is known to be a dirtbag, but Hegseth is still selling BS in my opinion. I'll put it this way. This is my personal opinion. Is it possible that these guys took some stuff at some point and transferred it somewhere else? Sure.
Yeah, you don't think they knew exactly where those trucks were going, though? They would have followed them by satellite.
No, I don't
spies in the
even know
ground?
if those trucks are the thing. I'm saying like 6 months ago they could have transferred something somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? It didn't have to be now with those trucks.
Yeah,
It could be that they were able to do something months ago. We don't know everything. I mean, keep in mind this is a country that all they do, they're like they have a short list of things they do. They oppress people, they hate the West, and they like to build bombs and missiles. You know what I mean? That's pretty much. Oh, and they have oil. That's their thing. So they have
um,
oil. They like to build bombs and missiles. They oppress people, and they don't like the West. That's pretty much that sums up everything that happens in there. And that's like those are their specialties. Okay, you'd think that at some point maybe there's some cave somewhere else where they transferred some stuff to. I would hope that intelligence, whichever intelligence, it could be different intelligence agencies, somebody would know. But to tell you the truth, if I found out that they transferred some stuff here and there, I wouldn't be completely shocked. I will say that with the amount of bombs that were dropped on these major facilities that people didn't know of, that intelligence didn't know about, it's hard to believe that serious damage wasn't done because these are just such serious bombs that when you drop them into a mountain, into structures like this, you're it's hard to believe that you're not doing real damage. Can it be ever reversed? Can they spend years in rebuilding, and did they hide stuff in some mountain? You never know 100%. But I think that generally speaking, a lot of these reporters, this is just my opinion, are just like you said, it's the Phobos, and like he said, are sort of operating in bad faith. If this was Obama and he came out and said, "Yes, I did this thing, I just dropped it," nobody would be saying anything. All the news would be kissing his ass and saying like, "Obama is the leader we need," and he's not the leader we don't deserve him because he's so great or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like they'd all be just kissing ass like one after the other. Nobody would be asking any questions or raising any eyebrows. Whereas like he's like anything that has to do with Trump, he says it immediately. And this is the ridiculous part, that some news organizations that said that there wasn't even a bomb are now saying that he didn't dismantle the bomb.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean there is a lot of hypocrisy here.
yeah. If it was Democratic Jesus, Obama, they certainly uh, would have um, given him the most generous interpretation of events possible. And so, one of the things that Natasha's famous for,
What is
it,
'07 panel? Is that hail, like hello panel in chat?
I think that's a smile or a grin.
Smile. Oh, okay. All
One
right,
of
go
the
ahead.
things Natasha's famous for is like going on saying, currently, we have no evidence that Pete Hegseth likes to get drunk and beat up small children. Like, that's the. And she was interviewing some guy. I don't remember his name. I got to get the name, but he's like, yes, you are correct. There is no evidence, but it doesn't prevent irresponsible journalists from fantasizing about it out loud on national television. So I'm like, oh man, good for you.
Empress and M says the slippery salesman we need is that Obama. Yeah, listen, he's a really good salesman. I mean, there's nothing I can say in terms of like if you put him on a podium and let him talk. The guy gave impressive speeches, and he always seemed to kind of say the right thing at the right time. But I think that with him, there was a lot of saying things that seemed pleasant at the moment that he said them, but in actuality, not a lot of doing, in my personal opinion, and a lot of talking, even though the talk was pleasant. Uh, I would say that with Trump, the talk is not pleasant, but at least he seems to want to do something. Whether that something is good or not, that has yet to be seen. But at least he's trying to do something.
Well, you hit it on the head. There's one phrase that means it all, and that's bad faith. The entire Democratic apparatus and their propaganda chicks have been operating in bad faith ever since Trump showed up on the scene. And you will never be able to accomplish anything as long as you have that frame of mind. If you're operating in bad faith, nothing constructive will ever get done.
Yeah, I understand.
And we've just dealing with like the Disney shills and stuff on much lighter issues, but still equally annoying, as they destroy the properties that we love. And you see these shills post the stuff, and they're absolutely not operating in any kind of good faith whatsoever, and it's so frustrating. It's very difficult to deal with somebody who is not operating in good faith.
Yeah, I agree. Anyhow, maybe there's some lighter stuff to talk about. I mean, I don't I don't know if this is light, but I don't know if you remember earlier this week, Martin Kove from Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid series, he ran into some trouble because apparently he was playfully biting his co-star until she bled, and then I guess they alerted the authorities and he apologized. I don't think she pressed charges, but then there's other weird stuff because now uh, it turns out that somebody said into 2024 that he did some SH on the set of Cobra Kai, but it was investigated and he says it wasn't true, and it isn't true now. Uh, I kind of am not completely surprised this thing now popped up, but
Dude,
what
this
I
is
will say,
wacky, though, man. This is total wackadoodle. He's a
you
biter.
know, I'll tell you what I think. I think let me. What's his age? Isn't he like 80 or something? How old is Martin Kove? He
Yeah, he's
is.
getting up there.
What's his age exactly? Let me see.
I don't actually know.
Okay, I'll tell you in a second. He is. It's funny. His thing. His Wikipedia says that he's either 77 or 78. They're not sure. The Wikipedia isn't certain if he is. It's either 77 or 78 according to Wikipedia, which is kind of funny. Um, what I'll say is this, and I've said things like this before. He is from a different generation in Hollywood, a different generation in general. I don't know if you know this. Like a few decades ago, when you worked at an office, people at the end of the day they may go to a bar, they may hang out. There was a lot of stuff that happened, also on sets and in work situations that was a bit more social. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Today it's like, oh no, you did this. Now like I'm calling HR. Oh no, like now I have to
Yeah.
file a complaint. Like all this stuff didn't exist a few decades ago. Now, I'm sure that there were some situations that, somebody bad did something bad or, took advantage of a situation or behaved inappropriately, even by those standards. I'm just saying that people from an older generation, they lived in a time where things were different. And you put a guy like that on a set with some younger people or younger ladies or whatever, I can totally see a situation where he makes a comment and some lady gets upset. You know what I mean? Probably a comment that he would have made it like 20, 30 years ago and nobody would have even like noticed. But now, wow, like you've said it and I can totally see some like Gen Z young lady like, oh no, he said this, he did that, he said this. But they investigated, they didn't find anything. I think that Martin Kove, he's done a lot, and I think maybe he should take a step back, maybe do a little less of all these like conventions, and I do feel like he's kind of already at this point from a different era, and he doesn't seem to be kind of uh, incorporating himself into this new era.
He's not responsive to these social needs of the
It,
current generation, and I I have this in feeling that there might be some substances involved.
anything is possible. I will say though that he was great on Cobra Kai and he was great in movies.
Yeah.
Uh, he is a very he. I've always liked Martin Cove, and I tend to think that this is a situation where he's just like in a generational thing. None of these ladies have said uh, that he's like done more of an essay situation. This is more that what probably was acceptable, 30, 40 years ago, today is considered like, inappropriate. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. But the biting thing like that makes me think there is a little more to this. but I can see him being a little hard to wrangle in general.
I don't understand the biting thing. I don't really get it. I think it's weird. I assume that he probably was playing some game. I don't know what he was trying to do. It sounds very, very weird. Maybe there's also a few things. Here's what I think. It could also be that the guy is developing some form of maybe dementia. It's
Oh
not
yeah,
nice to
could be.
see, but he is, let's say 78 or whatever it is, developing something like that. Maybe he's not 100% sure, he's making mistakes. That's why I'm saying that, like, if I was his family and him, I would take a bit of a step back, see that everything's okay with him. The biting thing is weird. And
Yeah.
it's not like, then 50 ladies came up and say, well, for 40 years now, he's been biting ladies everywhere. Like, I think that this is a strange situation where the guy, maybe also because of some problems he has, he's getting medication of sorts. I don't really know. I know that if I were him and his family, I would take a step back, see that this guy's okay, and evaluate the situation, because this probably isn't helping him. People generally like him. He has a good career behind him, and he's sort of, for whatever thing he is, he's sort of iconic in his field. And
Oh man, yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, anything like this can only tarnish that. So if I were them, I would pay attention, and I would try to figure out what's going on with him. That's my
Listen,
personal opinion.
yeah, he always played like the heavier the bad guy, but I don't know if you remember in 1977 there was this show called Code R. It was like Baywatch, except they were a team. Like they had like a little speedboat and a plane and a lifeguard and
What was it called? What was it called?
Code R.
Code R. I don't even think I ever heard of this, to be honest.
It was the only time I can remember where he wasn't playing a bad guy, but he still kind of played like an alpha male jerk kind of lifeguard kind of type.
Okay, let's look at this. I'm going to put on the opening of this show.
Oh,
are you ready?
We're
going to look at Code R from 1977.
Oh man, yes.
Okay, let's look at it.
Whoa, that's loud. I remember the truck.
This is the best opening ever. Like the most 70s opening that ever 70s.
Totally, it's like, yes, the R stands for rescue. I haven't seen this since it actually aired in 1977, so we're talking almost 50 years. But I remember that much of it. Wow. I can't remember what I did this morning.
It's like the longest opening.
Well, back then, shows had really long.
Oh, Martin Kove, yeah. Martin Kove.
He was the water guy.
They're really taking their time with this thing. They're like, we don't care. That's their opening. I love it.
Dun, dun, dun. I gotta see if I can find that on DVD somewhere.
Hold on. Elizabeth Quinn says, dementia patients revert to childhood. Sadly, I know one of my grandpas had a great childhood, other didn't. Yeah, I tend to think it's something like that. Elizabeth, thanks for being here, by the way, and and supporting us on the Rumble side. Really appreciate that.
I feel bad, actually, until you said it. I didn't even consider the dementia angle. Like, I was thinking biting, like, certain substances would do that. But, right, that's completely consistent with an older person with onset, Alzheimer's or dementia. Absolutely.
And I'll tell you this also, when you're sort of have a dementia or kind of in that stage of early signs of it, saying inappropriate things that are not socially acceptable is not a stretch. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Walking
absolutely
around and
not.
saying the wrong thing that some lady may be offended by or whatever it is, not a
No.
stretch. Suddenly biting a woman. That's why I said that if I was his family, I'd really want to step in now and see what's going on with this guy. That's my personal opinion. I know I haven't spent time with him. I could be wrong. I could not know what I'm talking about. That's my instinct.
And when you're sort of a tough guy, he has like the tough guy reputation. You're going to be that much less likely to admit that that you have some problems, that you need help. Like, he's going to soldier on and not really, maybe, even if he has a suspicion of what's going on, he's not really going to admit it. I'm bringing out my album collection.
It's an excellent album. Honestly, I'll be honest with you. There was a time in my life that this would have been one of my favorite albums. Over the years, though, Roger Waters has really depressed me so much that it's hard for me to completely separate today listening to this album and thinking of Roger Waters. I know that is unfair because it is actually a great piece of music for sure, iconic great piece of music, and I have listened to this album so many times. Probably if you would have asked me about it like 10, 15 years ago, I would have had the greatest things to say. It's just that I think that Roger Waters is such a douche, and it's hard, real hard to brush off some of this guy's nonsense.
Yeah, that's why I don't like The Wall much, but the earlier stuff is much more Gilmore
Right.
influenced. So,
For me, listen, even before like Waters did all that crazy stuff, I've always been more of a Gilmore person
oh,
because
absolutely.
I'm a musician, and for me, with all of Roger Waters' interesting ideas, without David Gilmour, that band isn't that band. Like he is the musical backbone of that band, especially when it comes to its sound, its tone. When I listen to Pink Floyd, listening to his guitar ideas, listening to his singing, these are things that are very, very important to me. When Roger Waters did that kind of hitchhikers guy, whatever that hitchhikers thing, um, I that really showed what it looks like when he doesn't have Pink Floyd, and what
Yeah,
and what it showed was that it was like a bunch of, I dare say, like pretentious, pompous nonsense that without like a real musical genius like Gilmour to bring it to life, it just sounded like some measly thing.
I absolutely agree. And the thing is, they can sound like Pink Floyd without Waters. They cannot sound. He can even sing like them, but they really don't sound like Floyd without Gilmore.
Right.
Although the genius of their music, they did need both of them. But
Right. I'm not taking away from Waters. Waters was ambitious. He had a lot of kind of out there ideas. A lot of those ideas were good, but uh, I don't know how to explain it. But
oh,
all of his
I know.
his ideas, in my opinion, especially after Sid Barrett went off the rails, if you didn't have Gilmour there, that band, in my opinion, would have crashed and burned. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think I don't think that Waters alone could have carried it. You needed Gilmour for the singing, for the guitar playing, and to create like a certain musical identity and atmosphere. Did Waters have a lot of great creative ideas? Yes. Did he have some great lyrics? Yes. Was he very ambitious and driven? Yes. But again, all he could have been all of those things. Gilmour, I still think would have been a great musician. Waters, I'm not sure. Like without that setup, I don't know. And,
yeah.
and really, ever since Pink Floyd, you see that Gilmour continues to, tour and perform and even release albums. And you may say, well, his albums aren't as good as Pink Floyd. You know what? He's already not young. And if you just put any random David Gilmour album that he released after Pink Floyd and you press play, you're not going to suffer listening to it. And most you'll say, well, he didn't really reinvent the wheel here. He's kind of just like,
Yeah,
doing his thing.
he's 79 years old, and I've always maintained that particularly geniuses go a little bit crazy when they get older. I think it's part of the price of being a genius. So I'm sort of used
We
to
would
people.
know.
Well, I'm used to people going a bit off the rails as they get a little bit older. I just think, you only have a few years of, maximum creativity. And then depending on what your environment is, I think, I just know too many people that I liked, admired, and respected, scientists, musicians, artists. But as they started getting up on years, they started going a bit loony, and it's just kind of something I can expect. But Waters has a huge case of TDS, man, and it's just like I don't want to hear it.
He has a lot of strange DSs, you know what I mean? He has a lot of
Yeah.
derangement, like he has an overall like umbrella derangement syndrome over a lot of different things. And all I know is that he was kind of ahead of the curve with all these people liking these anti-West these kind of places that don't like America and all that. He's been ahead of the curve.
Yeah, only
He
behind Cat Stevens.
Yeah. But somehow he's more noisy than Cat Stevens.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He really, um, yeah, like
Cat Stevens, I feel like I never really hear anything from him. Yeah, he converted and he did some stuff, and I don't know what I know he did all of that, but since then, maybe he talks all day and I just don't listen or don't know what he's saying. I feel like Waters creates a lot
a
more
lot of
stink than
drama.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he said some stupid things during the whole Salman Rushdie thing, and then he shut up and he went back to his little ashram and just, I don't know what he does all day, but he's not. I mean, there are plenty of people, and I think it's smart that you maintain the mystique of your celebrity. Look at somebody like Clint Eastwood. Unless he's working on a project, you don't, except for the time he ran for mayor of Carmel, of course, but you don't really hear a lot about what he's doing. Like, same with Jack Nicholson. He's like completely, he's like, it's very important to keep the Arab mystique, or no one will be interested.
I appreciate what Jack Nicholson does. As far as what were you just saying? Who was the other person?
Oh, Clint Eastwood?
Clint Eastwood, yeah, sorry. There was one thing that once at some Republican National Convention he was talking to a chair or something. That probably, I feel like he probably didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
That didn't like add anything. I don't think that he added anything. Listen, in general, I know some people like it when people they go to these kind of conventions and talk. For me, anybody that's an entertainer, I really don't need to know what their politics are, what they like. I say this all across the board. If there was a rule now that entertainers, generally speaking, stay out of politics and just work on entertaining, I don't have any issue with that. That would be fine. And I don't care if it be all across the board, meaning if celebrities like Republicans and they don't say it, or celebrities are more left-leaning and they don't say it, and just nobody deals with that and they do their job and that's it, I'd be perfectly fine with that. I don't care what they do as long as they don't bother people about it.
Yeah, I love the fact that the only thing I really know about Kurt Russell is that he's still happily married to Goldie Hawn, which is awesome. Otherwise, it's just like, call me Snake. It's cool.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I think that stars that have had the most longevity and really built stuff are stars that don't sit around and talk about their politics all day. Look at somebody like Tom Cruise recently when they tried to surprise him with some question about Trump, completely diverted it. He's like, I just want to talk about our movie. Don't care about any of that.
Tom Felton, did you see that?
Loved his response that he's like, he's like,
doesn't get any better.
I think that if celebrities and like actors and whatever wanna do like a crash course in how to respond when it comes to like tricky questions, watch what that guy was saying. He's like, you know what? It's such a privilege for me to be able to work here and to be able to do this. I'm so grateful and honored. Thank you. That's all he said. That is what all celebrities should be taking notes, writing down, and that's what they should all answer.
Yeah, listen, man, like, who the hell wants to look at Alec Baldwin's reality show? It's like, I know what color your kid's pee is. I know you bleach your, it's like, God damn, I didn't need to know or want to know any of this stuff. The only thing I know is that you're married to quite the harpy, and I feel a little more sorry for you than I did before, and maybe you should actually want to go to jail. Because it's quieter than what you're doing now. He'll probably get some relief.
Cat Stevens is still alive. I think he's still alive.
I think he is. I don't remember.
I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not like Honestly, I know some people may like Cat Stevens or may like his older stuff or whatever it is,
Yeah, he's
but you know
alive.
what? I'm going to tell you something. The only thing that I kind of am okay with when it comes to Cat Stevens is the song Wild World.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Baby, it's a wild world. That's pretty much it. If you ask me like what else Cat Stevens has done, is Morning is Broken his? I don't even know.
Well, I don't know if he wrote it, but I know he did a good cover of it. But
Could
when I
live with
think,
it. You could take it away. If you told me now that there has to be some changes and how like on a computer you take stuff and you put it in the recycle bin
yeah,
and then you delete the recycle bin. If you told me that you're taking like Wild World and Morning is Broken, putting them in a recycle bin, clicking that button that empties it, and it's like they're being erased from existence. We'll never think about them
oh,
again. I'll be okay.
it's a traditional Gaelic hymn. He didn't even
He didn't even
write
do
it.
it.
Right.
Nobody even needed him. But you know what? Even with all the Gaelics, even whatever you're talking about, throw them all in the recycle bin, eject everything out, and I'll never hear any of those songs like those songs again. I'll be perfectly fine. I can live without Wild World, and I could live without Morning is Broken.
Whenever
So
I hear Cat Stevens, I think of I think of Al Stewart, who did the song "The Year of the Cat," and I like Al Stewart a lot better.
Dawn French is the UK version of Rosie O'Donnell. Well, thank you. I don't even know who that is. Price of Genius. I would like to think I don't want to say that I'm a genius, but at some point I think in my youth people thought I was going to be like a genius, but then over the years it didn't pan out.
She's an actress, right? Wasn't she in X-Men? She was like in a Bond. I think she did a Bond movie.
Don't even know. Caleb Levine Price, you need to sing that song next time you do karaoke.
Yeah, no, it looks like she's a director. Okay.
Oh, Will Smith new song in the bin too. Yeah,
Oh,
I really, you know what? I grew up and Will Smith was a likable actor, and I like to see him in stuff. And man, the recent years haven't been good to Will Smith. I've said it for years that I think he should have never married. This is my opinion. Forget about it. You know what? He married her. There's nothing I can do about it. He should have probably divorced her years ago. That lady, his wife, never did anything good for him, in my opinion. I am not a fan of Jada Pinkett Smith.
that song's embarrassing. Even when I'm alone and no one's around, I'm actually angry at myself for being so embarrassed. It's so cringe. I can't even, like, who looked at that and said, yeah, that's good. We're going to run with that. Like, what?
This is really cringe and embarrassing. I feel bad. Somehow, I mean, it's not good, but I somehow feel bad for... I don't think that the idea here was to make me feel bad for Will Smith. This thing is making me feel bad. This is him performing. I don't know if it's in London or something. Man, is this crappy. It's so cringe.
Investing, spend it on you, bestie. You and your twin on your jet ski. I'll change your life if you let me, girl.
Oh my God, that's so bad.
Yo, I like pretty girl. Yo, I like pretty.
Like, nobody's excited.
No. What?
And then he's like, here's Rita Ora, and like nobody cares. This is
Ladies and gentlemen,
maybe they're still nice to her, but like even so,
Why would they be excited? They look like Joe Biden just standing in a
like
crowd.
nobody is
motionless.
dancing. All these people seem like they're so unenthused.
They just show up.
Listen, he clearly has a cuckold fetish where he gets off on being emasculated.
So that's the, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm
Rita
really
Ora in
embarrassed
the
for him.
house.
I'm really embarrassed for him.
I'm investing.
I don't know how else to describe it except for that I find this very embarrassing, and I'm embarrassed for him. You know, I'm
It's
going to say
awful.
something else. Sometimes also, Will Smith, maybe for his age, looks relatively youthful, but the truth is he's not 20 years old. You know what I mean? Will Smith is already not like a child. This is cringe and embarrassing. That's all I can say. The only thing he could get away with is at least if he had like hits from back in the day, even songs that I don't like, But like, if he came out now in this thing and like, sang a few songs and maybe are in pop culture that people like, I don't even know to tell you because I don't really like them myself. What does he have? Like, getting jiggy with it or something like that. He probably would have more of a chance of getting anybody to be nice to him if he did one of these like old hits, just pop out somewhere and be like, getting jiggy with it. Like if he would do that, it would be lame also, but at least a few people are like, okay, I know that song. You know what I mean? At least he got that. Or I think that once he went somewhere and he did like the Fresh Prince theme song, and I think people were happy, he has a chance of doing a few of these things somewhere, introducing a new song that he's like singing I Like Pretty Girls when he's like a man. How old is this man?
I like the Cartman version of Wild Wild West better than the Will Smith version.
Will Smith is 56 years old. Now, it doesn't mean that at 56 you can't do anything, or you can't perform or do a song or whatever, but this doesn't feel like a song that a 56-year-old guy sings. I like pretty girls, yeah, pretty and pretty. It's so embarrassing,
In the video, he's a tiny little man, and some of these girls are quite unattractive.
Yeah, he chose the reason why I think he chose in the video women that aren't necessarily attractive is that he's trying to go for this kind of like, average looking middle-aged women like, look, I'm cool, I want you.
Huh.
Maybe some focus group told him, listen, if you do this, maybe a few more women in this age group will go see your movies. I personally think that's not going to work. Whatever he was thinking to himself, it's not going to work.
I still think he has a couple more years of actor jail or penance before he can even try to restart his career. The Oscar thing and the sort of the getting cucked thing, it's not going over well.
No, it was like a 1-2 punch. And in a way, the Oscar thing was like the second punch in the cucking thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really, really what he needed to do is he needed to get divorced maybe 10 years ago, and his career would probably be fantastic now. He just needed to get away from that situation. I don't know, I've heard rumors about him over the years that he's like this in his private life or not. I really don't care. And I think that without Jada in the picture, whatever it does in his private time, without her in the picture and him just focusing on his career, I think that would have been fine. That probably would have been fine for him.
I remember seeing an interview with Jada Pinkett back when they first started dating, and everybody who interviewed her only wanted to talk about Will Smith, and you could see it in her eyes. She hated it.
Wait a second. Miss Sparkle says, I'm an average middle-aged looking woman and I ain't having no part of it. I understand.
Yeah. Good for you.
I understand. Listen, I also want to make it clear. Sometimes I say things that you probably think, well, what do you look like? Why are you talking? But I don't need to look like I'm $1 million. You know what I mean? I'm just some regular dude. So I don't need to look like, if you have like hundreds of millions of dollars and you're getting these kind of roles in Hollywood that people are paying you like tens of millions of dollars, whether you're a man or a woman, you're kind of expected to be presentable. It's probably a good idea that you went to the gym and you present yourself in the best way possible. If people were to pay me like $10 million to appear in a movie and I get a few of these movies a year, I would 100%. I told this last time to the professor. I would be eating alfalfa sprouts and drinking germ wheat juice. Is that a thing?
Wheatgrass juice and
whatever
wheat germ smoothie.
I would do that smoothie thing and eat alfalfa and go to the gym, and I wouldn't even complain. I just shut my mouth and go to the gym and eat alfalfa. Give me the $10 million, a movie. Give it to me. I'm gonna. Yeah. I'll do whatever it is that you're saying. Like to my presentation, I'll do it. And even if, let's say, some studio came in and they'd say, hey, we want to give you $10 million a movie, but unfortunately, look, you didn't eat alfalfa and go to the gym. I will stop what I'm doing, eat alfalfa, and go to the gym just to collect the $10 million. But these actors, why are they talking about it? I saw this thing. You know what it reminds me? I saw something this week with, did you see this? Kate Winslet. She did
Which
some weird
one?
"Woe Is Me" on 60 Minutes. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Wait, I get the Kate Smith. Was she the Titanic one? The kind of chubby?
Yeah, the
Okay.
Titanic one. She
Okay.
like sat there and wept that somebody told her that because she's fat, she'll never be a star, and she still managed to succeed in Titanic and build a career. And she's sitting there like weeping and crying. You know, at the end of the day, whoever was her teacher and told her this was just trying to help her. At the end of the day, in most cases in Hollywood, at least back in the day, you needed to look a certain way, and if you were fat, you were probably not going to get the role. I don't think she was fat. I think that in Titanic, she already wasn't fat. Maybe
No, she was
whoever told.
Hollywood. She was Hollywood fat, which means she was carrying 5 extra pounds. You know?
Right, exactly. So what I'm saying is that her big win there. She's like, I showed them. I don't know if anybody saw this, like Kate Winslet in this dramatic. And generally, I don't hate Kate Winslet, but man, I thought to myself, this is just a bunch of bullshit. Let's see if Kate Winslet, 60 minutes, 60 minutes. Wait.
The
Let's see if I
Jennifer
can
Hudson story is a lot better than hers, but she lost American Idol. They said she was never going to make it big. She ends up doing Dreamgirls, wins an Oscar. It's like, fuck you, Simon.
Okay, here you go. Are you ready? Are you ready, Ista?
Yes, sir.
So I guess she's salty because some people back in the day said that she was like she gained weight or something. Let me see if I can share this. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Little melted and poured into that dress, and
Yeah.
Kate's a little melted and poured into that dress, and she just needed 2 sizes large, and it would probably been okay.
I gasped at how cruel some of that coverage was of you at that time.
Oh, yeah. So you're such a victim.
Person must they be to do something like that?
Did you ever get face to face with any of those people?
I did get face to face.
What did you say?
I let them have it. I said, I hope this haunts you.
They probably don't even remember saying it. Like, it was Tuesday.
It was a great moment.
I mean,
man, you got to learn to let that
it was
shit
a great
go.
moment because it wasn't just for me. It was for all those people who were subjected to that level of
I'm
harassment.
sorry, I don't want to laugh. It's not
It was
nice of me.
bullshit.
horrific. It was
only
really
for
bad.
you. You're an actor. You're a narcissist.
And like I said, you're making like you were in Titanic. You're getting millions of dollars for each movie. So some reporters said that you kind of look like a little plump in that dress. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something, Esta. You give me the $10 million and you want to bring a reporter that'll be like, dude, like, look, you could lose a few pounds. Look at you. I'll be like, you know what? You're right. Some reporter will be like, maybe you don't need to drink that beer. Maybe you need to lose a few pounds. I'd be like, sure. And then I take my $10 million, call like my bodyguard and have him removed from the premise. I'd be like, I think you're leaving now. I'll see you later. But I wouldn't be sad about it or crying. I'd probably like have a good chuckle. And then like, we'd open like some bottle of Grey Goose or something. Whatever. What am I gonna do?
Listen,
I
man.
would laugh. I would laugh. That's what I would do. I don't know why this lady is like weeping. That was just a little snippet. She's like sitting in 60 minutes. I think for the whole 60 minutes she was
you listen, it's really difficult to be a rich celebrity and somehow still be a victim. So they've really got to work at some way to, get that victimization currency going for them.
right.
And I will be very happy when, as a society, we stop fetishizing victimhood and just, get over that shit, man.
No, to be fair, I didn't even care that she gained a few pounds. I think that this is more these kind of media weirdos. Like, I think that she was like, just looked kind of like a regular person.
Yeah, and not unattractive,
No, not unattractive. So some reporters saying, is your dress is a size too big? Who cares? And she's sitting there like decades later weeping on 60 Minutes for 60 minutes. Unacceptable.
Hey,
Unacceptable.
Kate, the bigger the cushion, the sweeter the pushing.
But the thing is that I don't even, until this moment, I actually didn't think anything negative of Kate Winslet until I saw her on 60 Minutes.
Oh, yeah.
She's been around for I don't know how many years, and I've always thought, what do you think of Kate Winslet? Oh, I like her. Until I saw her on 60 Minutes. That for me was like a game changer. When I saw her like sitting around and weeping, I don't know why it annoyed me.
I always mixed her up with the other Kates at the time, but it annoyed you because, again, somebody that successful and that privileged is trying to portray themselves as a victim. That's why you were annoyed. And
Hey, Sean, how's it going?
Everyone has their struggles, but most of us, in addition to those struggles, we have to work for a living. And it's just like, I'm sorry, even like you said, the whole Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively thing, man, they're both weirdos. That's white people problems, man. I'm going to save my empathy and sympathy for women that are, whose lives are at risk, getting really abused and still and wonder where they're going to sleep and who's going to feed their kids. Like celebrities trying to garner this kind of sympathy, it's just pitiful to me, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, Granola Grin says, prediction in 2 years, the 30th anniversary of Titanic, Kate will call Leo to paint her in the nude for the old time's sake. He'll say no for young sake as he watches a 23-year-old IG model slob his...
No, 23, that's way too old for
him. Too old for him.
Yeah, 19,
Sean Crummel, I sent you a DM. You're not nearly narcissistic enough to be a celeb, Price. I guess not. I don't know. In any case, I am willing to take the $10 million and have like one of these. I would think this is funny if one of those Entertainment Weekly is like, today we saw Price of Reason and he could really use a few pounds. I heard he drinks beer all the time, that he's an asshole. And I'd sit there and laugh. I would sit here watching the clip with you and we both have a huge chuckle. You know what I mean? And as long as they're paying me the millions, I don't care what they're saying. You know what? I've been at events like, that I sort of, in some capacity, I was there. And these sometimes these actual kind of entertainment reporters were there. And some of them are really kind of annoying. But as annoying as they are, I don't really give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, these are the last people that I would let them dictate to how I feel about myself, especially if I'm like swimming, like, in dollar bills. And like, if I'm like Scrooge McDuck and like money. What do I care? Some weasel is standing around there saying shit about me. Say whatever you want.
Yeah. Again, at the very least, I'm going to focus on the below the line people because they're the ones, that have to work.
Yeah. Well, we have an interesting development. I think we have an interesting development.
Uh-oh. Good or bad?
I think it's good. It seems good, but it's not. It seems to be happening, but I'm not sure if it's happening. Let's see what happens. And
Sean.
Sean, I think, is joining us, but I don't know if there's something with his. He's testing out his equipment.
Is that a euphemism for?
Sean, what's up?
Hey, man.
Sean in summer attire.
Yeah, it's so
hey, buddy.
hot.
How's it going?
How are you? Yeah, it's going.
Oh,
sorry, I'm so late. I'm always getting out of work at like 1:30 in the morning now.
No, it's great, man. I'm just happy that you're here. Sean is like, a guy that just mysteriously shows up here and there, and we're always happy to see him. And I don't know if you saw, but Kate Winslet was crying on 60 Minutes because some reporter years ago said that she gained a few pounds.
It was pretty good acting.
Yeah, I'd like to take this moment for a public service announcement for letting shit go. If you hold on to that stuff, those little dings that hit you through life, you're going to be miserable.
There was also other nuggets. I didn't know she was this pompous until like this interview. Really, like we were talking about celebrities that should probably not do interviews. She's one of them. So let's see. This is, I think, another part. I think it's another part. Let's see if
people say, "Oh, you were so brave for this role. You didn't wear any makeup. You had wrinkles." Do we say to the men, "Oh, you were so brave for this role. You grew a beard"? No, we don't.
No,
that still happens.
She just has a beard.
Yeah, it happens to me all the time. It's not brave. It's playing the part.
Is it true that a crew member came up to you and said you might want to kind of sit up a little bit. You're showing a lump.
Yeah, you might want to kind of just suck in, sit up. And I was like,
You didn't.
I don't think Lee would have done. It's about knowing that her ease with her physical self was hard won.
In Hollywood, you could have a lot of great lights so that you don't see the lump that we all have, the bumps that we all have.
You know, I'm
You
done.
don't care about showing
No,
that.
I don't.
Why not?
It's exhausting. People say, "Oh, you were so brave."
Well, she
I don't
sounds
know
like
why.
she cares.
Yeah, I mean, she's like, I don't care what people say about me. And then, like you said, like for 60 minutes, out of 60 minutes, she's like, oh, that reporter said bad things. And she's like weeping.
And I'm sure, it's just like the Street Fighter thing. The person who said that probably didn't remember it the next day. For them, it was Tuesday, and never gave it a second thought. And she's been holding on to that shit for decades. That's insane. That's crazy.
You know, Sean, you're kind of like Q on Star Trek The Next Generation. Like, if there's an episode with you and you should pop up at some point, everybody's happy.
I wish I had the powers to just boom, face reveal, everybody.
Hey, Kate, were you the gayest fat girl ever?
Is that like a New York hot dog salesman asking her the questions?
That's what that guy sounded, the one that asked about things.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, there's the guy from Variety that he goes up to people.
Yeah.
Is this the gayest movie ever? And then they're like, yes, it's so gay. And then he goes and he publishes it all over the internet.
He is such a cartoon character. It's hilarious to watch him sometimes.
Read by Nature says she can't take the slightest bit of criticism. By the way, Read by Nature, I want to tell you that I didn't get a chance to finish my review for Ironheart, but I am going to say Elon Musk in it, and you're the one that said it, and I'm taking it. So if you have an objection, you can write it in the chat, but if you don't object, I'm taking Elon Musk. Because
Copyright.
Copyright. I'm taking Elon Musk. But I am telling everybody that if you see a review and you hear me say Elon Musk, it is Read by Nature who said Elon Musk, and I loved it.
That reporter, that guy's name is Mark Malkin. Variety sends him out when they want to, generate a little bit of extra DUI and controversy going on. They know exactly.
DUI?
They know exactly what they're doing.
Driving under the influence?
Did I say DUI? I meant DEI. Same difference.
Yeah.
They're both disasters. But they're not really looking for answers. They are looking, for the quote, for the controversy, for the clicks. Just like, again, it's a bad faith exchange.
Sure.
Let's see something. This is interesting. I guess they did some event for Spielberg, and he said that he has no intention. Now, because I sometimes tell people lore, and usually I do this in the later parts of our show, I want to tell you an interesting story with Steven Spielberg. Are you ready?
Lore. Everyone's happy. It's lore time.
Lore. It's lore time. I don't know if anybody's happy, but I'm going to tell you a story. So basically, a few decades ago, I got up one day and I remembered that as a kid, I saw a mini series that I liked. It was British. It was, I think it was ITV, and it was called Chalky. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was a book, I think. Is it John Wyndham that wrote the book? There was a book called Chalky, and they based the series on it. Yes, John Wyndham. And the story of this Chalky thing was that there's sort of like a extraterrestrial type of presence from outer space that comes in and starts like teaching a kid. It's a very intelligent sort of life form that's almost like a, you can't really see it, or you can sort of see it. It's sort of like, I can't really explain it, but this intelligent life form is like teaching this kid, and there's a whole story that goes around it. And as a kid, I was fascinated.
Uh-oh, we've lost Price. It's time to tell some jokes. Oh, you're back.
I'm back. How long was I gone?
A
Just
millisecond.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Did I ever? What was the last thing I said?
You were talking about the Wyndham book, Chalky. It's
And
a
you were
science.
fascinated.
So I
kids
was
sci-fi
fascinating
book.
by it because it had. Let me show you the intro, okay? I even as a kid, I loved the intro. This was like exactly my jam. Let's see if I can share it.
I don't think it's as good as Code Red, but we'll give it a try.
You know what? I think that it can compete with Co-Red.
Okay.
So this is it. Let's see if it works. If you can see it, hopefully.
Matthew Gore lives happily with his adoptive family.
Oh, this isn't what I thought. This is like a trailer. I wanted the actual.
Intro.
Yeah, I wanted the actual intro. Chalky. How can I find this thing? Chalky opening credits. Are you ready?
Yep.
Distracted by
Can you see it?
Istophobo's
Yeah, it's late. I figured we'd go back.
Okay, are you guys ready? So this is it. This is what I saw as a kid. It was from British television, Thames, ITV, whatever it was. I saw this as a kid. See, this is the alien that's sort of in his brain, kind of, that's teaching him.
The triangle?
It's kind of I can't really explain why it's a triangle, but kind of, yeah. And it was like spooky.
Yeah. It's early 80s British sci-fi. It's all like that.
I loved this as a kid. I effing loved it. Sorry, Sean.
You didn't even.
I didn't even say the
do it
bad
right.
word. Yeah. So I loved this as a kid, and I thought that this is so great. And years later, I'm talking, maybe in the, I don't know if it was like 2005 or something like that. Okay. I got up one day and I remembered it, and I think I managed to get a copy after not seeing it for years, and I watched it, and I said, man, I really like this. I think that this has so much potential. And I had studied at the time. I had studied screenwriting and things like that. I said I would love to make like a new adaptation of this book. And I then got the book. After I got the DVD, whatever it is, I was watching it. I got the book, read the book, and I thought to myself, that's it. I'm doing this. I am doing this. And I said to myself, nobody cares about this. Nobody has talked about this show or this book for 20 years at least. Nobody gives a shit about it. Sorry, Sean. And I'm gonna find a way to secure the rights to this book. So I start looking around, and it was John Wyndham, which I think the guy is no longer alive, and he had an estate. So I actually started. It wasn't like today. You could find certain things on the internet, but it wasn't the same. Like, I think today there's a lot more access to stuff, but I did find stuff on the internet.
I see where you're going because I know who owns this.
So basically, I called their estate and I said, it's me. I want to buy.
It's me.
I said, I'm very interested. I just studied film, and I have some great ideas to adapt this into a feature film. I really am interested. How do I get the rights to this book? What kind of deal can I work out with you? Maybe I can work on a screenplay and present it to you. And I did actually get to some people, but they told me, listen, this is a very complicated situation because ITV, who created the show, they still hold some of the rights to it. It's a complicated situation. I'm like, please help me. How do I get it? It's not so easy. It's not this. It's not that. And I'm like, I didn't go as far to say, listen, nobody gives a shit about this book. Just let me do this. You know what I mean? But that's what I was thinking to myself. And I said, it's really good. It's good. It has so much potential. And I really believe in this. And let me write a screenplay. Let's see what we can do. And then basically, I couldn't get anything moving, okay?
And sir, please stop calling us.
Something like that. Probably a few months later or something, I suddenly one day look at one of those industry trades, and it goes like Steven Spielberg has just purchased a new property. And I'm looking at the article, and the article says Steven Spielberg has purchased Chalky. And I'm like, no
That
way.
son of a
No
bitch.
way.
Sorry, Sean.
Nobody cared about this thing for decades. Like, how is he buying it now? I almost feel, and I know nobody's going to ever believe me, I almost feel that after my, phone calls to their estate trying to figure out how I get this, I feel like somebody hung up the phone and they said, who is this loser that's calling us? Like, if we're selling it, let's sell it to Steven Spielberg. And like the next thing you know, he was buying it. I have no other explanation to how this happened because nobody gave a shit about this. Sorry, Sean, again. Nobody cared about it. It was on nobody's mind. I was the only person. I feel like that estate was probably, there were like cobwebs and spider webs, and like there was probably like an old Grinch answering the phone. Like and like I can't imagine that like I was the only incoming phone call to this estate, which was probably like a castle with all these like like I said, this dust and whatever,
Cobwebs everywhere.
Cobwebs everywhere. I was like the only person. They couldn't believe their phone works. You know what I mean? It was one of those phones where like you spin the thing with your finger, and then like on one
Rotary.
hand. Rotary, but not only rotary. It's the thing where it's not even the real phone.
Oh, you have to hand crank and go to the operator,
and then like with one hand, you have to put the ear thing next to your ear. Exactly, Sean.
Touch me through the Chalky.
That's what it was, and there was probably like an old 100-year-old man. It was like in Indiana Jones, those knights with the Holy Grail. With the knight with the Holy Grail, that was the type of setup there, and it was me calling, and somehow Spielberg ended up with this project, and I am still.
Would you like to know what really happened?
I believe it.
Read by Nature said it probably did make somebody ask in the office ask, who can we sell this to? Somebody probably said, if we sell it to somebody, maybe this guy will never call us again. How do we get Spielberg on the phone? Let's get rid of this. Who is this idiot calling us?
No.
What were you going to say is to Phobos?
There were two different BBC radio plays that were quite good and successful. One was like the mid-70s, and one was much later, like in the 90s. But the BBC radio plays were released on CD in 2007 and 2008. And that's when Spielberg heard the radio show. And that's where he got the idea to buy the rights.
Wait, when was this released in the radio?
Well, on the radio, the second series was March of 98, but it wasn't released on CD. If you didn't catch it, you didn't hear it. They published it on CD in 2007.
I see.
And Spielberg acquired the rights in 2008.
I see.
So it's likely he heard it or bought the CDs. Somebody played it for him, and he's like, but I like your description better with the old dusty cobwebby.
I still think that it's
parlor.
a dusty cobweb situation. Listen, I don't know what's CD and not CD. I think it's all nonsense. I think that they saw that I was interested and I kept calling, and they decided to get rid of me. Now, you want to hear the story get even weirder? Do you want it like the middle of the night weirdness to the next level?
Always.
After Steven Spielberg bought the screenplay, I kid you not, this is really, when I was young, I was very kind of, I was very quirky. I found like
and then I grew out of it and turned into a school
I
puppet.
called whatever is Amblin Company or whatever the fuck it is. Sorry, Sean.
Amblin Entertainment.
I called the company at the time. Like there was a phone, and maybe I got like somebody's email there. I don't remember now all the details, but I reached out and I told them that I had actually, I can't believe that I did this. This is so that I had actually inquired about the rights before Steven, but it's no hard feelings on my end that Steven was able to secure the rights. I'm still very much interested. That's what I said. I was still very much interested in working on the screenplay with him. And
I get you.
And I tried coming with like the gracious angle. Like, yes, you beat me to it, but no hard feelings. I can still work with you on the screenplay. And you know what happened, Sean? You know what happened, Sean?
They did not call you back.
I never heard from them. I didn't hear them. You know what I think? I can imagine Steven Spielberg sitting in his office and
As he's playing with Legos.
and somebody reading this to them, and they're like, "Sir, we have like let me just read this to you. I was the one that inquired before you, and there's no hard feelings, Steven. We can work on it together." He probably like, if that message ever got to him, he probably laughed so hard that that was probably I bet he went to parties later, like with his friend, and say,
Yeah.
"So I get so the guy leaves you a message. He says no hard feelings. I'll do the screenplay." And like they're him and like Lucas and like I don't know what
like 7 other people.
Scorsese are all like having a laugh, like the soda is squirting out of their noses.
Yeah, I believe it. I totally get the mindset. You're like, I could still make something happen with this.
I was still trying to like salvage this whole situation.
It's so nice.
You know what? Until this day, Steven Spielberg has never made Chalky. Although I suspect there was recently something that they're like he's working on a secret project and not saying what it is. I feel like that's the project. I feel it's going to be he has to do something because he's been sitting on it for years.
17 years. You could call him tomorrow and say, "Hey, man,
no hard
remember
feelings."
Me? I called you 17 years ago.
I can say that there's still no hard feelings.
Yeah.
In fact, Steven, if you're listening to this broadcast right now, along with Empress NM and Granola Grin, I still have no hard feelings. I can sit and work with you on the screenplay. I know I have something to contribute here.
And I know a guy that does sci-fi cartoony drawings. I would love to work
Sci-fi
on
cartoony
it too.
drawings, and there's another guy who's just like he can be a good vibe on set, and he has an avatar with a lady's butt.
Well, I am an artist. I've done some storyboarding, and so I could probably help. I think maybe if the 3 of us call him together, he'll know we're serious this time.
I can hear you, Istafobos. Yes, we need like a conference call. We need a Zoom call with him. He needs to be on our stream. Istafobos, can you guys hear me? I can hear you. I hope other people can hear you.
I wonder when actually was the last time he was on a conference call with 3 complete nobodies.
I think one of my half-second cousins, twice removed, is married to one of his 15th cousin or so. I might be able to get us. I'm just saying, I might be able to get us a meeting.
You're like practically brothers at that point.
Yeah.
In any case, I just thought that was a funny story. It is a true story, and it's one that I probably have never told it to almost anybody. I don't know how many times I've ever told it to anybody. It's such a strange and bizarre story, but it really did happen.
Professor R2 missed out.
Yeah, the timing was seriously suspicious, I will say. So,
all I know is that during those years I was interested, and the next thing I know, it was something that nobody was. They released a CD. They didn't release a CD. I don't know, man. I think that Steven Spielberg. It could be. Maybe you're right, but I don't really know.
Well, you should check out the radio play because I hear it's very good.
It is.
Maybe it'll inspire you.
I should check if he still has the option on Chalky. I think that I checked at some point, and it's still he has the rights. I don't think he let go of that.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can't sell him a screenplay.
I will never understand why they buy things and then just do nothing with them.
It's so annoying, I think he's filming it. Let's see, Secret Project. Steven Spielberg. So Steven Spielberg is working on a secret event movie with a tentative release in May 2026. The film is based on an original story by Spielberg with a screenplay written by David Kove. While the plot details are scarce, it's rumored to be a science fiction film involving UFOs.
He's still using David Cope?
Chalky.
Now the thing is, it says that he's making a movie about UFOs.
Hey,
but,
that's Chalky.
Hey, this is from 50 minutes ago. Let me see. This Thursday.
Oh yeah, he's released some footage.
Did he show some footage?
Yeah, it says he released some action footage before a bunch of guests. Let's see, He brought some proof. His next project, an untitled film, 2026, has been shrouded in mystery, save its principal cast: Emily Blunt, Domingo, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth, and Eve Hewson. It's been heavily rumored the project is a UFO adventure. He introduced a behind-the-scenes clip that didn't quite confirm an alien theme, though there were plenty of menacing figures in unmarked black cars were seen chasing Blunt, who appeared in several who appeared in several scenes in a rural area. One sequence with O'Connor, Blunt's busted sedan collides with a speeding train. She and O'Connor attempt an escape through the broken windshield as the vehicle gets chewed alive between screeching metal and the tracks. This doesn't sound like Chalky.
No, it doesn't. The only idea I have here, because keep in mind, Chalky actually takes place in England, in a rural area, I think for the most part. So having a British cast in a rural area, whereas Chalky does that, makes me think another thing. Maybe Spielberg made a movie about UFOs, but he has the option or the rights to Chalky. So if he involves ideas from this movie, he won't get sued because he owns the rights to it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Maybe it's something that he can be inspired by this and inject it into some story that he wants to do, but nobody's going to sue him because he has the rights.
Maybe he's combining the elements of Chalky with some sort of X-Files action elements.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that he's taking some idea from there and like merging it together. I could be wrong. Maybe he's just like, doing a completely separate UFO thing. But the second I saw that he's doing a secret project, the more I looked at it in the cast in England, I kept thinking it's this. But I could be wrong. Blunt and whatever crashing into a train sounds a bit, not Chalky, but you never know.
Well, when you called him up, did you say you were looking at maybe combining some hybrid, like the Terminator and Chalky?
No. I just said that. I said it exactly what I told you. That's what I said, and I'm not even sure why I did that. I think that I thought very highly of myself at the time.
You were thinking you could come in on another angle that would win over their opinion and still get you into the deal.
Right. That was kind of dumb.
I had like 10,000 thoughts like that. I did a portfolio for Nickelodeon in the shape of SpongeBob. Like I decorated it to look like SpongeBob, and then SpongeBob walked you through the portfolio and sang my praises. And I did not get a job. I got put on a maybe list, but I did not get a job with that cleverness.
I see.
Sorry. Never again.
On that same page, they mentioned, because it's the 50th anniversary of the Talking Heads' first live gig, they have finally released the music video for Psycho Killer. And it stars Saoirse Ronan. And was directed by Mike. Psycho Killer, the song.
That's
Talking Heads.
Though, the Talking Heads. It's already from like 1980 or something, that song.
Yeah, it's the 50th anniversary of the band, and they made a video but never released it. It was a Mike Mills directed video. And so her name's Saoirse Ronan, but it's spelled Saoirse Ronan. That might, help some. So she actually starred in the video, and they just released it. So,
wait, it's a new video?
No, it's an old video, but it was never released.
But isn't Saoirse Ronan an actress? A new actress?
Well, I mean, I don't know when they made the video, but
she looks fairly old here. I'm looking.
Yeah,
at it right now.
I don't think the. She's 31 years old, but I don't think it was made last year. It might have been made. I don't know when they made it. I can try to find out.
Released 3 weeks ago. Talking Head, Psycho Killer. She looks like she's like 30 something.
Yeah, she is.
I thought you meant like they made it a long time ago with her and just released it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. This is a new video. This isn't an old video.
Okay, yeah, I guess she
she's
looks
31.
a lot younger in the picture I'm looking at. But okay, yeah. So they made a commemorative video with Mike Mills. That's you know,
I gotcha.
it was just on the same page as the Spielberg story. It caught my eye because her name is, you know, somewhat unique, and I noticed it on the page.
She's one of those actresses my wife likes a lot.
Yeah, I like her a lot, and she's very helpful. Every time she does an interview, she explains how to pronounce her name. That's how I know how to say it. She's like, it's Saoirse. Everybody pronounces it wrong, but it's Saoirse Ronan. So,
is she Scottish?
I think she
Irish.
is. Irish, sorry.
Yeah,
it's all the same thing.
Yeah. For people who are not Scottish or Irish, it's all the same thing, kind of.
Yeah, but Irish is spelled more fucked up than Scottish.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm like this much Irish, so I can say it. If you say it, it's insulting.
Well, Sean, the way you spell it is about as Irish as it gets.
Yeah. Even I'm like, seen?
I'm trying to see if there was something else I wanted to talk about. So,
hey, did you see Megan 3 yet?
Megan 2, I didn't see it.
Oh, yeah. Why did I say 3?
I didn't see it yet.
So, here was the funny thing. Somebody mentioned, what a unique idea. They take the scary robot from the first movie, and all of a sudden it changes sides and becomes a helpful robot where they fight another more evil robot. And like,
but did you see this movie already?
No, but I'm saying that you mean like Terminator 2? It's hardly a unique idea. That's what I'm. No, I don't know if I'll see it. I'm not really a huge horror guy, but it looks kind of funny.
I did enjoy Megan 1 more than I thought I would. I thought it was rather amusing. It had a kind of humor to it that I enjoyed. I don't know how the second one will be, but I was very pleasantly surprised by the first one, so I probably will check out the second one. But what I want to say is something else. I have to say, Sydney Sweeney is really capitalizing on her popularity. She unveils a Summer Baskin-Robbins collaboration. But you know what? It's funny that, you know, she just acts like a regular woman and kind of like the type of, you know, stars and women that we used to have in Hollywood, and she's getting all the sponsorships. You know what I'm saying? It's not even that there's anything so special. She just like looks like a woman. She likes looking and acting like a woman. She's happy with that, and just getting more and more deals and money and business. And she basically, there's such a vacuum in Hollywood where like they refuse to allow women that look decent to do anything. That like one comes along, she's just like, she is just getting all the deals, all the money.
Yeah, you can't even get a mid chick to look at for like 2 hours, man. Like that Ironheart, like did they do a casting call for the ugliest woman?
Listen, I don't want to be mean. The thing is that, you know, there are roles that you can cast different people, and sometimes you need character actors. That specifically, that girl that they chose for Ironheart, in my humble opinion, maybe like character actress is fine. She's not drop dead gorgeous. I think that for like a comic book movie of that sort, especially when your screenwriters are like activist toddlers, the minimum you can do is at least bring some lady that looks nice. You know what I mean?
Not drop dead, dude. She's hideous. It hurts my eyes to look at her.
I want to try to be a positive person. I'm trying real hard, Ringo.
Definitely positively hurts my eyes.
I'm trying real hard, Ista. I'm, you know,
all right.
trying to be a good person.
Yeah, Sydney Sweeney is unabashedly open about her sexuality and her looks, and she knows
that's what puts the bread on the table. She knows that's what pays her bills, and she's like, fuck it, sorry, Sean, like people want to see me walking around with my boobs and eating ice cream, great, like here you go. Where do I collect the check?
The irony is it's not the calcium cannons that are the breadwinner, it's her attitude.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, they do help.
They do help, but no, there's an overall
years.
They ain't hurting.
She's just hanging around Baskin Robbins. She just acts like a regular woman, and she smiles and she sees what she's. She's
Yeah.
funny.
Oh,
She just doesn't care.
Honestly, I love her. Like,
yeah.
people are like,
You remember the?
Is
people are,
that Sydney Sweeney? Oh yeah, it is. She really loves our rainbow sherbet. She comes here all the time.
Wait, seriously?
no. After the last 15
Sydney.
years of
Your signature scoop is ready.
Thank you.
What? That's so cool. Yeah. It can be.
At all.
Summer's looking sweet at Baskin Robbins.
Try my new Sweet on Sydney menu, available at Baskin Robbins nationwide for a limited time.
After like the last 15 years of things being so stupid, it's like it's so refreshing to see her acting like a girl.
Yeah, it really is. You know,
and people are like, "Oh, she's not that great an actor," and I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just entertained by her, and I like you said, I really like her attitude.
Yeah. Do you remember? It hasn't. It feels like a lot longer than it's been. But remember those Carl's Jr. ads for the
I was
Super Bowl?
thinking about this today, actually.
Yeah, that like they show her eating the ice cream. Yeah, they know exactly what they're doing, and I fully support it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And again, good on her and whoever represents her for taking full advantage of it.
Although, you know, I wish it was like a better brand of ice cream, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. Like, I'm not gonna eat it anyway, you know. But
We
hey,
also
listen,
have this thing that Denis Villeneuve is going to direct the next James Bond movie. Honestly, you know, he's not the worst director in the world, but I'm going to tell you honestly, his movies are kind of long and at times boring.
Yeah, we're going to have 2 hours of establishing shots,
right,
and 5 minutes of Bond action.
I really am not excited. I'm sorry, like I just don't think he's the right man for the job. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think he's the right man for the job. Amazon, they're so, I don't want to say stupid, but considering the amount of money and the IPs they have, sometimes I just don't understand them. Also, I don't know if those rumors about their casting, if it's going to be that like thing that they're doing, that's also not going to be very smart.
Yeah.
I think if they had any brains whatsoever, on the day they got control of everything, they sign a deal with Cavill, they say Henry Cavill's Bond, they bring somebody like Christopher Nolan, they say I'm doing this cool Bond movie, and people would be hyped. That is what they needed. That would have like given an injection of life to this franchise. I sound like Trump. An injection you've never seen before. It's the biggest injection, the greatest injection ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would have been like breaking the internet type of situation. Cavill with Nolan, Bond, that's all they needed to do. That was the winning formula. And even if they needed to pay Nolan, even if they need to give him creative control, whatever it is that they needed to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, fucking do it. Sorry, Sean.
Do you remember? Sorry.
No. I agree, and I think either one of these decisions a little bit dubious, but both of them taken together, they're going to lose a lot of money.
Do you remember when they announced the Batman v Superman thing at that Comic-Con and people went nuts? I feel like that Nolan and Cavill is like the go nuts announcement that they should have made. Even though that movie didn't turn out the way everyone wanted it to, but that initial energy was like off the charts.
That would have been a complete, take my money situation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I saw Professor here. Hey, Professor
Hey,
R2. Hope everything's going okay. Villeneuve is a terrible choice for Bond. His scripts are crap. He's all visuals.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I actually sent you, a DM, but I know that it's late, and I assume I don't even know if you're home. Maybe you're listening to this on the way. But in any case, I did send you a DM. And, Denis Villeneuve is a guy, even with, like, Blade Runner 2049 or whatever that was, he had some interesting visuals, but man, did that movie bore me.
I
I
did
was
like
so
that movie.
bored.
It
Oh,
dragged a lot, but I
uh,
liked that movie.
there is a sort of a knockdown effect because he's going to be doing this movie. He's not going to be doing the other one that he was expected to make, which was an adaptation of the Arthur C. Clarke novel Rendezvous with Rama.
That's funny because I just heard about that today. I've been listening to a lot of like sci-fi channels recommending old science fiction novels and stuff, and I just heard about that, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Is he
Yeah,
still
so
doing Dune 3?
yeah, but I think he's going to be a little bit hands off of that one, and definitely hands off of the next one. But listen, Rendezvous with Rama, they find this 50-kilometer, 30-mile floating tube in space that's a complete like environment. It's like a world inside of a tube, and I can just
Yeah.
see it would just be a 30-mile long featureless tube with the way he likes to do visuals. It would just be, smooth polished stainless steel for miles I could see. Like he doesn't really deliver a lot of visual detail, and he's just all about atmosphere, and he certainly doesn't like dialogue. So he's the wrong guy to be telling that story too. But I'm kind of glad that if they're going to make that movie, I'm glad that I would rather him ruin a James Bond than ruin Rendezvous with Rama, because Bond's already ruined.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know.
It's just.
I've only just heard of what that novel is even about, like today.
Oh,
Like,
really?
I feel like I've seen the title for years, and I'm just at this. I'm way behind on where I feel like I should be on reading sci-fi novels, so I'm desperately trying to catch up.
Oh, it's a very, it's one of the, it's a very popular classic novel.
Yeah.
It makes, like, at least until before science fiction was ruined by Worldcon in about 2005. It always made like the top 20 lists of greatest novels of all time. That and Childhood's End would be Arthur Clarke's, big ones.
Yeah.
And sometimes 2001, but
It kind of sounds like Eon by was it Greg Bear?
yeah, I think it looks like a similar setup, and of course Clark's got to be one of the most copied or imitated or inspiring authors in the history of sci-fi. But I can just see by the time they put all the DEI and intersectional stuff into it, it's just gonna, it's like we found this floating spaceship and it's filled with diverse people. Like,
oh yeah, because the description I heard is like robot-y life that doesn't give a crap for the humans that discover it.
Yeah, but it will be African robot-y life and maybe some
exactly.
Arabic.
All the cool spidery things will be replaced by humans all of a sudden. There's a very like a Disney Star Wars way of approaching sci-fi. I don't know.
Is R2 coming in? He's
I sent him a link, but I don't know where his whereabouts are. I know he was driving somewhere, so I don't know if he can make it or not, but I've absolutely sent him a link, and you're always invited, the professor.
A couple other, I'm trying to remember, a couple other pretty big things happened today. Let me see if I can...
Did anything good happen? I'm so out of it that everything sounds terrible.
Well, Sydney Sweeney has a new ice cream flavor.
Oh,
that's looking pretty good.
Looks like a great flavor. I bet you that's going to sell. That's probably going to do well for them.
If that was amaranth, she would have made it, her vagina flavored. It would have been ridiculous.
I also have to give credit that Sydney Sweeney is making smart moves. I mean, looks and stuff, it doesn't, when you're kind of youthful and good looking, and in the position that she's in, that's really a situation where as many deals you can pile up at that moment in time, and
Oh
as
yeah.
much money you can like put in your bank account, you should do it. And she's like doing it with no problem whatsoever. She's doing it with a smile.
Didn't she have like, there was some like picture of her with a sweatshirt? It was like, sorry for having nice boobs or something like that.
It's like, so I'm sorry I have great tits.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so this,
I'm like, that's the attitude that makes me laugh. And I'm like, yeah, you're great.
this happened 9 hours ago. The trade deal with China has been officially signed. So,
Oh, wow.
You were asking about the tariffs working? Looks like they worked, man.
Yeah,
in a different way, but
again, even if there's just like a few points better, or there's something that's a bit better, anything better is better than what we had, and that's why I wasn't necessarily dismissing it.
and now
Yeah,
this may be good news to some people, but they are ICE is now going to remove Albrego Garcia to a third-party country. Like, so I guess he's going somewhere. It's just not going to be El Salvador.
I see. Whatever happened to Mahmoud Khalil? They just let that guy go, right?
No, he got the boot. He's not here.
No, they let him go.
They didn't deport him?
I think that they wanted to, and then some judge did something to reverse it.
I thought he had already left the country.
No, I think he's here and he's going to stay forever.
No, let's see. It looks like he's in detention. Hold on.
No, I think that he's free, and he's right outside your home.
Well, that's a bad place for people to be. I live in
you
a
open
very
your door, there's a good chance that like Mahmoud
yeah.
Khalil is going to be out there.
Okay. I guess he just got freed. He's back to the gates of Colombia. But he's going to continue the protests, except now they're going to give Gaza back to the Gazans. So what's he going to protest?
Oh, he'll find something.
Well, and if he does something, I don't know, when some of these judge orders get reversed and he revokes the student visas of all these universities. Yeah.
To be honest, isn't he like from Syria or something? I don't even think that some of these people are like, I know this sounds bad, but some of these people are kind of like grifters anyways. I don't even know that he's Palestinian or anything.
No, he's got he's an intelligence asset. He's from nowhere and everywhere. That's the thing. He's like from Libya and Lebanon and Syria, and he went to a British university. He's already like a really quite suspicious character.
I mean, the thing that's suspicious for me is you arrive in America, and 5 minutes later, all you're doing is like organizing all these weird things. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's what you came here for. He's like, oh, I'm going to negotiate. Like, if if the university thinks it's going to contribute this or do this, it has to talk to me. It's like, who the fuck are you?
Listen,
you just got here. Who the fuck are you? Sorry, Sean.
I think the State Department can still.
I'm the fuck
him.
Professor R2. Oh, sorry.
Hey,
Listen,
Professor R2.
Listen, if Trump signs if he gets this peace in the Middle East thing done, no one will be able to oppose him. And if they have the political will, they can still deport the guy on the grounds that they mistakenly he lied on his application. He should never have been here to begin with.
Yeah, that's true. Facrutinho 93 says AOC walked with him. She did. Of course, like she immediately walks with him.
Listen, some people get deported because they have like a misspelling on their application. Like it doesn't take anything. You can just accidentally transpose the date, and people get deported for that, and nobody puts up a stink. So I don't see why somebody who intentionally lied on his application can't be deported.
This is something here that I guess somebody asked him, and then somebody posted this. This is interesting. I guess they asked him about these inconsistencies in his filing,
The Trump administration has said that you made omissions on your green card and misrepresented yourself. Is there any truth to that?
Absolutely not.
Bullshit.
They added these allegations a week after my arrest because they knew that their first allegation is also wrong. They wanted another chance to come after me because the first day of my arrest, all these lies spread about me online, like being a terrorist, being someone who's distributing Hamas flyers on campus. But then a week later, none of that is true. So they wanted something else to come after me, and there's absolutely no truth to any of these allegations.
He doesn't sound convinced, but she basically asks him, so the allegations are you're a bad person. Is this true? Like,
such a weird interview. The thing is, from what I could tell, and if I remember correctly, if nothing else, he was in an event that he was organizing or whatever, and it looked like the pamphlets that were handed out were saying, like, D to America, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I think the pamphlets were saying. I don't know what this guy wants. He could claim that he didn't hand out the pamphlet. Still not a very good look for him.
Yeah, maybe he'll go to an art museum and see what happens there.
I don't think I understood that reference.
An Israeli couple went to an art exhibit and a bad thing happened to them there.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
I
mean
think-
the workers, the ambassadors, or whatever they were?
Yeah. So
Yeah, his student visa will be revoked, and
but
he will be leaving this country in due time.
Well, the thing is that I think that the problem with him is that he arrived quickly, married a woman like 5 minutes after his arrival, signed up for some college, and then started immediately organizing suspicious protests, in my opinion. I think that the green card part is the part that makes it difficult.
Yep. That is not just something that you just get by way of, oh, look, I married an American citizen. That's the way they make it out to be in TV shows.
Yeah, it
in
is
movies.
not.
Oh, I just married someone who's American, so I get to stay. That's not how it works.
That's how I've always taken it.
There's a whole process, and
but
I know people who have had to go through this process and had to fight ridiculous fights because there was some little thing that was off on the application, or when they sent some stuff through to their country of origin, it didn't get responded to as quickly as it was supposed to, or what, like ridiculous things. And if he did something wrong on his application, sorry, you're out.
Yeah, I had a friend who married a British woman. She overstayed her visa and they wouldn't let her renew, so he couldn't stay here. And something similar happened in England. So they were married, and the one place they could move to was Ireland because they were Catholic, and Ireland at the time wasn't a demented, twisted, sick Sharia law kind of messed up place like it is now. And so they support, if you were a Catholic couple and you wanted to immigrate, they made it really easy.
By the way, we have a super chat, and I don't know how long it's been here, and I didn't see it before, but it is from Accidental Caller, NOK 50. Accidental Seller.
That's Norwegian krona?
No, it's North Korean money. He's paying for North Korea.
Oh, I thought it was Norwegian krona.
No, it's not North Korea.
I know. They don't have money.
They don't have YouTube.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, it's Norwegian krone.
Yes, Norwegian krona. Yeah,
and it's quite a sarcastic tweet.
Breaking news!
Breaking news. Activist judge orders DJT to undetonate all 12 bunker buster bombs and return them back to the United States. Yeah, I'm surprised that hasn't actually happened. But thank you for the super chat, accidental seller, and I hope that you saw that we saw it.
Hey man, I'm still waiting for Ilhan Omar to take a DNA test and give them her and her brother husband the boot.
See, the thing with her is that I have to say is that in her religion, if she really divorced people and went here and went there and did all this stuff like she's claiming she did, she would be like nothing to them. You know
Oh
what
yeah,
I mean?
no, they should be able to dispose of her without legal penalty.
Right.
Absolutely.
Or unless it's a situation where she just like it's kind of like not telling the truth and lying, that would be forgiven. And it makes me think that probably, just based on logic. I don't have any proof, but I'm saying based on logic, I think that her first husband is still her husband. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. There is enough circumstantial evidence to get a warrant for DNA testing, and it has been rumored that there actually was a DNA test and that it was in the hands of the FBI, and they were just about to serve her, but it was still the Biden White House, and they got told to stand down, so they got stood down. I don't see any reason why this FBI would stand down, though. So either find the old test or take a new one. I am so as annoying as AOC is, and her early onset abuelaism, and Jasmine Crockett, Omar just grinds my gears the worst of all of them.
Well,
I mean, maybe Maxine Waters, but nature's going to take care of her soon enough.
I think that the problem for me with Elon Omar is she came from another country, and from the day she's here, all she does is hate this country. I mean,
Yeah.
There's something that just doesn't sit well with me. If you don't like being here, why did you come here? If you came here, how do you hate this place? It's something I think that Trump wrote this. He has a way of wording things. He wrote something maybe today or yesterday that he's just like, in your country, like everything is terrible. Like you came here and then you hate this. I don't know how he explained it, but he explained it a lot better than me, I guess, in this case.
Well, if your country's so great, like you say, despite, crime, anarchy, disease, piracy, why don't you go back there? If this country's treated you so poorly that a United States Congresswoman, with all your free money and security and healthcare benefits, if it's so horrible here, why don't you leave?
It's just the worst.
I'm ready.
It's so bad here.
Elizabeth Quince says that Professor R2, please tell us Weird Al was awesome.
Weird Al was awesome. Unfortunately, it rained for about half of the show, which was
it outdoors?
Yes, that was it was unpleasant, but not the worst. I mean, it wasn't like pouring rain. It was it was just enough to like keep you wet for like half the show. But we had a great time. It was
the show itself. Was it a good show?
It was a great show. We really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Everybody had a great time. And it was real fun, and I'm glad we got to go. It was a great trip.
I wonder about Elizabeth Quince's name, because Elizabeth Quince would mean that it's like Elizabeth 15, because quince in Spanish would be 15. It's probably just a coincidence. I assume that her name is just Elizabeth Quince, but I love the fact that I think. Doesn't Quince mean 15?
Well, yeah, a couple of things. I think
yes.
I'm trying to figure out what Phantom Outsider is saying in his chat.
Oh, what? You got to see Al?
No, that's Phantom Monk.
a fruit. Elizabeth Quince says a fruit?
Yeah, it's a flowering plant. It's in the rose family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was 15 in Spanish, but I could be wrong. Let's see. How do you say 15 in Spanish? Here, I was right. Okay. Do you see it? Do you all see it? You thought I was some weirdo.
Well, this doesn't change that.
What do you have to
Now,
say now?
You're
Where's
just a
Steven-
weirdo that knows Spanish numbers.
where is Steven Spielberg now?
Okay, so Dems will very soon have a new problem to deal with, as instead of trying to find a Republican,
Oh, that's
to do
you can
something,
share it if you want. Where is it? Why don't you share that?
how do I do that?
I think that there's this thing that says start share screen. Do you see it?
Yeah, but it's just in the chat. Can I highlight the chat?
No, I mean do you see 4 squares here?
I see start screen share, but it's just on the chat crawl. You can see it too, right there.
I don't know what you're
It's
talking
just
about.
it's
from
just
Phantom
4 tabs
Outsider?
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
I
said
am.
the Dems will have a new problem to deal with, as instead of trying to find a Republican to do something, I reported info direct to the FBI regarding a blatant violation of CR law by the Dems. CR campaign. I don't know what CR law stands for.
CR would normally be copyright.
Oh.
but I don't know if that's what he's talking about.
Question is, if Title VI says no federal funding for any program that uses race as a qualifier, if the head of HHS alters a program with a directive that they must prove that they are Indian enough. Oh, okay.
Anyhow, in any case, I don't know. Elon Omar, I am always surprised that's a thing.
Yeah.
And Caleb Levine says, price of Espanol. I actually do speak some Spanish, surprisingly.
I have an ignorant American tongue, and I do not speak any other languages.
I speak...
Not fluently, anyway.
I speak English, and then there's maybe 3 other languages that I speak like some of, I guess.
You got to do the Fifth Element quote. Lady, I only speak 2 languages, English and bad English.
I speak Marge Simpson, but that's a so I think that's a dialect of English.
It's a lot of disappointed. Her little grunt that she does.
Homer, you had it set on whore.
That was pretty good. So basically, I'm trying to think that on occasion somebody sees me and thinks that maybe I should know Spanish, and then they speak to me in Spanish, and I can actually answer in Spanish. So that's
the mystery deepens.
It doesn't happen every second, but it does hapen occasionally. So then somebody's like, "Oh,
you're totally,
señor, hola," and I'm just like, "Oh, sí."
You are totally changing the image I have in my head of you as a very skinny white guy with very dark hair.
¿Cómo estás, señor? In any case, yeah. So, I mean, again, it's very low level. I can speak as if I'm like in 5 years old, and I can speak Spanish. I'm probably like 5 years old Spanish and like 2 years old French.
They're like habla, and you're like poquito, muy poquito.
Hablo de poco de español, señor. In any case, I don't know how we got there. What were we talking about?
Terrible politicians.
I was just like I'm like Ricardo Monteblan. That guy was the best. You know that he used to do car commercials? And no, in addition to having the chest, he also used to do car commercials.
Yeah, fine Corinthian leather.
Right. He was excellent. He was the spokesperson for that stuff. What was it? Oldsmobile?
The Chrysler. I think it was the Chrysler Grand Plymouth. I think it was Chrysler, but now I'm boomering a little bit.
Let's see. Ricardo Monteblan.
Chrysler,
yes. Corinthian leather.
Which model was it?
It was
Chrysler Plymouth.
Cordoba?
Cordoba.
Chrysler Cordoba.
Yes, the
Chrysler
Cordoba.
Cordoba with the fine rich Corinthian leather.
Was that even a thing? The Corinthian leather? What
No, it's
earth
completely
was that?
it's completely made up. It's completely made up. It doesn't exist.
Yeah,
No,
but look at this seat. I was sitting
The
there.
No, it's a trademark name for like a fake leather process where they recycle scraps and press it in. It's fake. It's basically it's pleather that goes under the brand name of Corinthian leather.
Well, it says it was a marketing gimmick, and Montalban admitted on Late Night with David Letterman that they just made up the phrase.
Hold on, let me
We've
see.
cushioned Cordoba's ride with thick rubber mounts at all suspension points. Our patented transverse front suspension keeps Cordoba's ride luxurious.
Cordoba. To drive it is to experience the pleasure of a truly roadworthy automobile in the Chrysler tradition of luxury. Yes, even rich Corinthian leather. Chrysler engineering achieves fuel economy for the times. Styling in timeless good taste. You owe yourself a ride in this new, smaller Chrysler Cordoba.
This feels like B-sides.
Reach.
You know what? You know what? He sold it well. He
I love
sold
it.
it well.
I love it.
When you heard Ricardo Monteblanc tell you about that Corinthian leather, he sold it. They needed him. Meaning, like, I don't think anybody else would have been able to unload that bullshit. Sorry.
So
go on.
The term. Okay, so here the term Corinthian leather was a marketing innovation crafted by the Bozell advertising agency for Chrysler. It evoked luxury, exclusivity, and a sense of an ancient foreign opulence. Though the leather itself was domestic and not fundamentally different from any other automotive leather.
but like, there's some pictures of him sitting in a car, and these seats look amazing.
So is it real leather or is it a fake leather substance?
It's real automotive grade leather. Yeah, it's
Okay,
but it's
so-
not like anything. It's not anything particularly special. It's just
Right.
It's him calling it Corinthian leather.
Yeah, automotive grade. That's pretty. That's telling in and of itself.
You know, leather seats are the best in the summer. You know, when you got your shorts on, and you practically rip your ass off whenever you have to get up.
It's fine prison quality leather.
Prison quality leather. Oh goodness.
I'm trying to find that thing where the thing that he says that it's a crock. Are you guys there?
Yeah.
Yes, I am here.
I was trying to find the video where he admits it's a crock. Hold on 1 second. I'm trying to find it. Tell some jokes. I found the video, but I can't find the part. Let me see if I can. Oh, here, I got it. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
But I was doing this tour with, making a tour with Agnes Moorehead, God rest her soul, Paul Henry, and Edward Mulhare. And one of the places that he took us was Detroit. And there in Detroit were people from Chrysler and from Young and Rubicon.
The ad agency.
Yeah, the ad agency then. And the writer, Jim Nichols, they were getting ready to do this.
Didn't he write Corinthian leather?
He did.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
This is an original. But they were getting ready to launch a new car called the Cordoba.
Yeah.
Now, I was very... No, I'll tell you what's funny about this, David. You see, actually, the name of the city in Spain, where my father in Mexico, there was a city called Córdoba, where they had a brewery, the branch of a brewery in Mexico. So I know the name Córdoba. Córdoba. The accent is on the first syllable. Córdoba. Ta, ta, ta. Córdoba. Now, So now when I said the new car, when I was reading the demonstration for them, I said Córdoba. And they said, no, it's Cordoba. Yes?
Yeah, they're telling you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to tell you how to pronounce it.
Cordoba. So I said, well, at least let me say Cordoba. And they did.
Yeah.
And that's how when the names.
I bet you sold a lot of cars.
Names,
Don't you get the feeling you probably? I mean, they had you for 13 years. You must have moved a lot of iron.
I think Cordoba was a very successful car.
Yeah. Did you have one? Did you?
Yeah, always.
Was it a nice car or
a very good car? As a matter of fact, the other day I was driving in my Chrysler, and some kid stopped next to me and he says, "Hi, Ricardo." I said, "Hi." He says, I said, he said, have you driven a Ford lately? And I said, no, maybe that's why I haven't had a recall in the 13 years I've been with Chrysler. Which is true. I never did. In 13 years, I never had a recall.
And what are you working on now? You're in the Colbys. More Star Trek movies.
And the Star Trek movie, I don't know. They left me when I died in Star Trek. It was a definite death. I mean, you saw me really kick the bucket. But they cut just before I kicked the bucket, so they left it kind of open. So I don't know what was going to happen.
Could be out there again.
But I'm doing the Colbys, David, which is good for me because after doing 7 years of Fantasy Island, the image of Mr. Rourke in the white suit was so strong that I thought it was difficult for people to take me seriously in other roles. Whereas the Colbys is like a halfway house. I mean, it's taking me out of the or the man in the white suit to other things. I hope.
Well, I hope it's around for as long as you want it to be around.
We shall see if it's renewed. We're waiting to hear.
It's a pleasure to meet you. You're a terrific man, and thank you for your time. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Ricardo Montalban.
I think I'd missed the mark where I needed to be.
I always
like Ricardo Montalban.
Oh yeah, I always heard that Montalban, that he was an incredibly unassuming guy.
Is holding its own. Yeah.
Like he loved his
we're
fans.
in the
He loved
Rainbow
people.
Entrepreneurial
He was a
Corporation.
really sweet guy.
And so forth. We bought in at $3.15 a share,
Very
and
entertaining.
it's still holding its own. So far,
sigh of relief.
Not a bad investment. Now, Paul mentioned this earlier. What is the deal? What the hell is there anything really Corinthian leather? Is that anything? It's just. It's some kind of vinyl they make in Detroit, isn't it?
No, they found a leather that was very pliable, very soft, and very durable. And I don't know whether it was because of the writer Jim Nichols, who wrote the commercials for Chrysler for me at that time. He wanted to find a word that sounded sort of elegant that I could say with a little verb, And so Corinthian seemed, you know what I mean?
But does it mean anything?
Nothing.
It means nothing.
Well, what does David Letterman mean? It's a name, David.
It's a name.
It's a name.
But it doesn't.
A very good name.
It doesn't refer to a geographic
from
area.
It's a trade.
Great name.
A trade.
How did you get that? You were the spokesperson for.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where he admitted it, I guess.
Yeah. Oh man, the Cordoba back in the day, man, that is like that is a pimp mobile. That thing.
It's bringing back memories.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny that just watching old clips like that, I'm like, man, I miss how Hollywood used to be. Like,
you mean fun?
Yeah, they were probably all still so full of shit. Sorry, Sean. That but like it was still entertaining to watch all the talk shows and the movies and get excited to see a movie coming out. I miss Hollywood.
Their job was to entertain you, not to lecture you. So, full of shit or not, it doesn't matter. They were fun.
Yeah, and he seems very charming.
Yeah, as I said, for all accounts, Ricardo was an incredibly sweet man. He did a whole lot of work in Hollywood, not just his time working specifically as an actor, but he did lots of stuff in the background. I think he did a lot of stuff with the union and did a lot of other stuff with working actors, and helped with. I think there were some. There's like retirement homes, like actor retirement homes, stuff like that. But I think he helped with some things like that. But by all accounts, he was just the sweetest guy. And it's always fun to see him because he's so unassuming and fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
He really is quite enjoyable just to listen to. He's got that smooth,
amazing.
He's got a late night voice too. I'll tell you.
He does. He could have been like the #1 king of late night.
Welcome to the Night Owl with Ricardo Montalban.
Even his name, like Ricardo Montalban. You know what? He has a lot of roles that people like, but you know what? In the Naked Gun, in the first Naked Gun movie, that he's such a good villain.
Yeah.
Like what I like about the Naked Gun is that it's so bonkers ridiculous, but somehow him as the villain is awesome.
Can you believe they're remaking that?
You know, it's a sequel to that. It's not really a remake, but
Yeah,
the
it's
thing
it's,
is,
it's a
Seen
yeah,
a
it's a,
trailer
it's a
in it.
requel.
it's
Yeah.
it's not something that I think is necessary. I'm not really excited to see it. I
Yeah.
will give it a chance, even though I don't have a great feeling about it.
Yeah.
Listen, when we heard that Mr. Rourke was going to be on Star Trek, we were kind of laughing, but within like 15 seconds of him being on screen, we forgot all about Fantasy Island. Or like, holy crap!
Well, he was already on Star Trek by
Yeah,
then.
yeah, and we knew that, but he hadn't been.
I mean,
silly
from the
Mr.
old
Rourke.
episode, right? From the old
Yeah.
TV episode, he was
Space Seed.
right, but he was
one of the
much
few
young.
ones that I remember the name of.
He was much younger, and he didn't have like the silly Mr. Rourke thing. But I'm telling you, within 15 seconds of him being on screen in Wrath of Khan, nobody was thinking Fantasy Island anymore, man. He owned that role.
I put
Owned
that.
it, yeah.
I put that VHS on in the morning sometimes as I get ready for stuff, and I'm like, God damn it! Sorry, Sean. This movie is so well written.
I love that you apologize to yourself.
It makes me laugh.
But
And
yeah, Wrath of Khan, fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie.
Oh, it really is. Yeah.
It's probably the best Star Trek movie.
Yeah, and the other thing is you didn't really get to see how ripped he was as Mr. Rourke, but damn, man, the guy's still buff as hell.
He did. Yeah, he worked out for that. He made sure, like, if he was going to show up in that, in that outfit, he was going to show it off, right?
I thought that was the joke that he had like a plastic chest for. Wrath of
Lots
Khan.
of people joked about that, but no, it was all him. Yeah.
And
One
his
of the-
arms, yeah, no, man, he.
Yeah.
So, have you ever heard Ricardo Montalban talk about the 5 stages of the actor?
Yeah. What? No, I have not.
So this is actually something I guess I think it was originally Jack Elam that had this idea, but this was a joke that Montalban would tell frequently. So there's 5 stages of being an actor, and the first one is, who is Ricardo Montalban? And the second one is, get me Ricardo Montalban. And the third one is, get me a Ricardo Montalban type. Okay. And then the fourth phase is, get me a young Ricardo Montalban. And then the fifth phase is, who's Ricardo Montalban?
What's funny is I've heard this, but it was all of the Ricardos were replaced by Steve Gutenberg.
It could be, yeah. It's been done. I think it was coined by Jack Elam.
Oh, bro.
But yeah, it's been used a few times.
It works. It works better with Ricardo than Steve.
Who's Ricardo Montalban? And I think he did that there. He was making a speech or something. It might have been when he was getting his star on the Walk of Fame or something. He had recently, I guess he had been in the Spy Kids movie.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that? And so he was joking about that, and then joking about and it's, someone going to see Spy Kids with their children and being like, hey, it's what's his name?
Yeah. That's brilliant. I love when real life seeps into that kind of a thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 Well, I think that in a few minutes we're probably going to wrap up. Do you guys have anything you wanted to talk about on our way out? Professor R2, you missed a great lore story.
Oh, I'll have to go back and watch it later.
Yes, it was
Or
actually
I'll
a
send
good
in a
one.
super chat to make you repeat it on the next show. And then
Let's see.
yeah.
Did I miss any super chats?
I think there is
wanna-
one super chat from Granola Grin for $2.
Oh,
It
okay,
says-
let me find it. Okay. You did miss a really good lore story. One that
yeah.
I've never.
That-
I almost have never mentioned this to anybody.
Definitely going to go back and find it, and I'm going to clip it. I'm going to send it to Melvin.
Yeah,
You have to.
Yep.
Okay, let me share this thing so I can show the thing. So Granola Grin for $2 super chat. Corinthians of Reason. Yes, that is absolutely
Fine
That
Corinthians of
sums up our
reason.
show. Corinthians of reason.
Corinthians of
What the heck
Let's
is
see.
that? It's my back.
Hey, Price, am I a mod? Can I post links in the chat?
Which chat? Where are you talking about?
Our YouTube chat.
On the
Here,
YouTube.
let me see for a second.
I do not know.
Okay, give me a second.
I actually have something to plug.
Okay.
Standard.
Standard, or what do I do?
Standard.
Is that how it works?
Yep.
What's the other one?
Then they can manage a bunch of stuff on your channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's like the super mod.
Yeah, the other one's like super mod. Like you can go in, they can go in and change settings and stuff.
I don't need that much power. I just need to paste something.
Okay, here.
I
You
don't
got
want
it.
the power. I'm not responsible.
I'm such a
But Maximus, that's exactly why you should have it.
Yeah, so I'm going to be on John's stream, Sci-Fi Chronicles, tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time. He does a great little panel show. We're going to talk about some sci-fi news and stuff. I just put the link in the chat. So it's really quite... we did... I can't remember what we did last time, but it was a lot of... Oh, I think we had a great time. So his name's John Yulden. He does the Sci-Fi Chronicles, and you might recognize some people from around here in the Mr. Brown chat. So
that link doesn't go to Sci-Fi Chronicles.
Oh, where does it go? Did I mess up?
It goes to Popcast.
Oh.
Oh, wait.
It
At
goes
least
to
it's not like
members
that
only.
link
All right,
when
delete
movie
that.
comes out.
Well, at least
Okay.
it wasn't like naughty movies and stuff. But,
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying,
okay.
like the Wicked movie.
Okay. I got it from his Twitter. Hold on, let me find it again. I just have the StreamYards link, and I don't want to post that.
And the whole chat shows up in the stream.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's see. Wait. All right. Here we go. Let's see. Show more. Okay. Oh, here we go. All right. Sorry about that. I think I'm going to test this first. Make sure it works. All right. Yeah. Live in 12 hours. Wow. That's quick. I'm not going to get a lot of sleep. Okay. All right. So yeah, if you have some time before B-Sides tomorrow, come and check us out on Sci-Fi Chronicles.
I've actually I've been on that channel a few times. John's a nice guy, and
Yeah, he really is. He's a great guy.
I told you guys before that recently I haven't had enough time to do other streams aside from the ones that I do here, and once in a while I may pop on some of those streams. John Yulden, I have been in recent weeks. At some point, I was on one of his streams. He's a really nice guy. So yeah, I can confirm that.
Yeah, it's a fun channel, and we engage a lot. We engage heavily with chat, like here. So you're not just a passive viewer; you get to participate.
Those are my
Absolutely.
preferred
And-
streams.
And I'm gonna send them some. I'm gonna send them some Sydney Sweeney videos too, so we can talk about her double scoop.
Sean, is there anything you want to plug?
We just finally got issue 3 done. Smacked in the head, 2 versions. Crumb's World exclusive cover and regular standard version. If you go to Crumb's Comics shop, it should be up. I don't know if they actually posted it yet, but
I don't think it's up. Let me see new products.
it might be in
I don't see number 3. I could
All
be
right.
wrong. Wait, hold on. Maybe this is it.
Well, I need to yell at them. Well, not yell at them, but
If it is, tell me. But I was looking and I don't see when I do shop.
yeah,
comics.
maybe they're trying to get you to actually show up in person. So buy a plane ticket, show up in Winter Garden, Florida. Yeah, I don't see it listed yet. I'll have to talk to them tomorrow about it.
All right. Well, in any case, if they want to see some of your comics,
Yes.
Maybe they don't have number 2. So I'll show them the second issue because the third one is going to come out. So I am going to put the link in now. And Professor, is there anything you want to plug? One of your B-rolls or something?
Yeah, you can come and join the B-roll B-sides crew tomorrow night, 9.
If you have a link, drop it. I'm not sure which one to put right now.
Yep, that's fine. Got it. And you can come and hop in, or not hop in, but drop into the chat and hang out with us while we riff live on a movie. And I'm not entirely sure what we're doing tomorrow. So.
Well,
Awesome,
that does and does not answer the question I was going to ask. What movie?
And if you guys are new to this channel or you happen to only be subscribed to my other channel, whatever platform you're on, you should follow or subscribe and join us. That would be nice. I do feel that people that watch on YouTube sometimes come from my main channel and don't actually subscribe to this one. If you can, subscribe to this one because this one's important too. Hey, Marla. Marla's been very quiet. She's been here the whole time. She spoke a few hours ago, and then I didn't see her anymore. But it's nice to see her now. So, hey, Marla. And I guess maybe that's a good time. We can bow out. And Professor, you should listen to that clip that you missed.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I will.
I managed not to crash, so I have a complete list of names.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. What's the names? Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, over on the Rumble side, we have Istafovos, Kivo 1961, Elizabeth Quince, Phantom Monk, Empress NM. Let's see, reruns. Wow, lots of that's actually the only people that were on Rumble tonight. Professor R2 joined us late in the evening, and Price of Reason. So that's on the Rumble side. I have a list on YouTube, but it's not complete. We have Read by Nature, Professor R2, Stephen Mack, Tim Hayes,
Caleb Levine, Marla Sharondoff, Mary White, I think.
Accident Caller.
Accident Seller, I think his name.
Oh, yeah, you're right, Seller. And Mephisto's movie reviews.
Oh, I didn't even see him here. I like Mephisto. Sorry, man. I guess I missed your chat.
Fauci No 93 or Facuti No 93 or Falk Tenho 93. Granola Grin.
It's probably
I think we did.
But never mind. Go on.
Oh, I think we did Read by Nature. There's Caleb again.
Granola Grin.
Yep. Tim Hayes. Hey, Tim. How you doing?
I think we said him.
Marla again. Phantom Outsider and Phantom Monks. We've had 2 Phantoms tonight.
True.
So that's all I have here.
It's like a Scooby-Doo episode.
All right, I think we did the best we could. If we missed anybody, we're sorry. We had some crashes, but we're appreciative of everybody that hung out with us. There's Yidhus, Granola Grin, Read by Nature. If again, like I said, if we missed anybody, I apologize. Stephen Mack, I think we said. Mephisto, I don't know how I missed him. Morning, Price. Morning, Mephisto.
You know what you could do next Tuesday is go over that Bernie Sanders Joe Rogan clip where Bernie comes across like a
weirdo,
real idiot.
I actually have that pulled up in another window to watch tomorrow.
I know he's not. I think what it is he has no response, so his only play is to feign ignorance because if he knew what was going on, he doesn't have a good answer for it.
I mean, as much as I'm not a fan of Bernie Sanders, the only thing I can say is at least he, he's like, I don't know how old he is. He at least went to Joe Rogan, sat there and had the conversation.
Yeah, he tried.
He tried his best. I mean, that's something. I still don't especially prefer that guy, and I don't like what he stands for or anything about him. But at the end of the day, at least he went and sat there and had that conversation. I can give him the minimum 1 point out of 100 credit there, I guess.
He's like, CBS says bad things about me. I don't sue them. It's like, it's not about, it's like, if you sue everybody that says about, it's not about suing. They edited, they misrepresented. He's like, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, exactly. So good night to everybody. Good night, Elizabeth, Phantom Monk, and Royal Grin.
Good night,
Goodbye, guys.
all.
Good night. Bye.
Later.